Hello and welcome to a very special Halloween night episode of Funbearable. Oh, it's Halloween night. We're sitting out here. We're ready to give out candy to trick-or-treaters.
Oh.
We're gonna have a really fun time. What?
I thought we were doing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and we needed to get here early.
We're recording on August 17th. I'm sweating my dick off.
Well, the two of you are...
Well, it won't take long.
The two of you are dressed as people doing the Thanksgiving parade.
Well,
Yes.
we thought we'd camp out here for Halloween and just stick it out.
Yeah, that's fun.
You know
that's
what I
fun.
mean? I think that's good.
Yeah, Brad looks like he's first in line on Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
But for a store no one wants to go
Oh,
to.
absolutely. There's no one else in line, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Apologies in advance this spooky Halloween season for my laugh. I am getting over a very bad cold, and so when I laugh, I sound like one of Chuck's old lovers.
Which one?
The ones that you met at truck stops.
Do you mean old?
the
like
brief relationships?
Do you mean old like it happened a long time
Like
ago,
an
or
hour.
old like elderly?
Both.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's a few of those.
So it goes like that.
And
I'm sorry.
Speaking of apologies for laughs, Chuck, I believe.
Come on, my standing apology from years before the first episode of me ever podcasting.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. So go ahead, Brad. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
We are here on Halloween night. My name is Brad Rohr.
My name is Ray Macabre Harrington.
Ooh.
And I'm Chuck McDuck.
What?
Shit. So you did macabre and you kind of
Yeah.
pulled me into that direction.
I
Sorry.
did?
Chuck McDuck.
Good
I
Lord.
wish.
Wow, what
Oh
a
my
character
God.
that was immediately erased. Chuck McDuck.
Hey, Huey,
oh no,
Louie.
what's he jumping into a pool of? Those aren't coins.
Chuck
I'm
McDuck Staten.
Chuck McDuck Staten. Yeah, we're here on Halloween night. We do this every year. We get in the porch. We
Yeah.
love trick-or-treaters. We love the Halloween
We're just
spirit.
the three of us. We're just a big bunch of porch. I'm not even gonna
Nope.
finish that sentence.
Porch
Yeah,
monsters.
Porchmen,
Porch
yeah.
monsters. Yes.
That's the season.
Is that better or worse?
Better. I think
all right.
anything that isn't it is
Yeah,
better.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, it's our official Halloween episode for the third year in a row. We're back on the porch having fun. We love doing this, and man, we got some fun stuff tonight. I think I
Yeah.
really enjoy the theme of tonight's episode.
Oh, it's so fun, and I love for my Mainers out there. I love being out on this dooryard.
Dooryard?
What's that?
That's
A
where we
porch?
are. This
A porch is a dooryard.
dooryard.
Oh, because there's
That's
the
like
door.
the front yard. It's
the
a dooryard. That's
Is
a
the-
main thing.
is the
That's
whole-
that's like a northern main thing.
Is
All
the
right.
whole front yard a dooryard, or is it just the
Whole
porch?
front yard. The front yard is a dooryard. Yeah.
Okay.
A
Back
dooryard
dooryard
can
is
have
a
a
backyard?
porch. A porch doesn't necessarily have to be a dooryard.
Wow.
This is so confusing.
Yeah, we're gonna
There you
add
go.
this.
Anyway, yeah.
Funbearable listeners, please add this to the Funbearable Encyclopedia.
We're the theme.
Page 2.
The theme of this Halloween episode is, of course, linguistic differences between Northern Maine and Central Rhode Island.
And all of that should have just come up on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
right.
titles?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
So
yeah.
we got to kind of peek through.
There's a no. There's a no.
Oh no, we turned into the Muppets.
That's funny. I've never seen anyone do that.
Yeah, that was
We gotta
good.
write that down. But yeah, we have a very special theme tonight. We thought we'd keep it kind of in a specific direction that we haven't really visited that much.
That's true.
It goes back to episode 4 of the original of our first.
Yeah.
Our first
Some say
recording.
the peak. Some say that's the highest
That's
that
true.
Funbearable ever climbed. It's the absolute echelon.
That first 24 hours. We did 4 episodes
Yeah.
in 24 hours. Remember that?
Yeah, and then we got sick of each other so fast.
too close to the sun.
Yeah.
But we did we did cover it a little bit. But I'm trying to think of how much we talked about this topic.
Well, I think more we came up with a fantastic business concept.
Oh,
which was
so it was more of like a bit. We didn't really talk about our experiences.
No, it's just a
yeah,
bit.
it was the Haunt Bearable.
Haunt Bearable, episode Haunt Bearable, where we talked about some haunted house. I mean, was it me coming up with a haunted house? Or was all of us coming up with a haunted house?
Do you see how immediately went? Was it me coming up with
No,
the
because
haunted
here's
house?
how it started. I
Yeah.
think it was Ray saying it was Chuck in a children's hospital
Yes.
with a fog machine.
Yes.
And then that became, what if Chuck, Brad, and Ray open their own haunted house?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm
and it was
so
it's
distracted
too smoky.
because the police just drove by.
Oh, Brad,
And they slowed-
lighten up. This is just like every 80s horror movie.
It is 7:10 p.m.
Here's the thing. I did all those murders.
7:10, by the way, Brad's witching hour.
Yes, as witchy as I get.
So we mentioned it a little bit back then, and we were coming up with ideas for our month of Funbearable Halloween episodes, of course. You know, we knocked out the idea of the Child's Play franchise flashback. We're doing a live episode that's coming out next week. And we said, what should we do for our main porch episode? The official Halloween episode for Funbearable.
Yeah, and some would say, hey, why did you do all those things before and create expectations for yourselves?
Yes, right. There's
More
so many police.
There's more police. This is absurd.
I don't think this has to do with us, though.
It's Halloween night. They're trick-or-treating.
Yes.
Let the kids trick or treat.
What do you think?
What's that? I'm being told by the sergeant they can only treat.
Yeah.
So we kind of decided we haven't really talked about haunted houses.
That's correct.
And it's a fun place to be.
That's not fun for me.
Yeah.
I'm too spooked by
No. The
haunted
way you said it was like it was like the end of a Burger King Kids Club commercial. You're right. It's a fun place to be.
Right. That's a good Funbearable tagline.
That is. Yeah.
It's not bad.
We need a child to say it though.
It's a fun place to be.
You're like an anti-child.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
sure am. I am anti-child.
No, but it is. Haunted houses are fun. We talked about it because we definitely sparked on that idea in that first one of the first episodes that we did.
Yes.
With haunted houses, and then that made us realize we haven't really talked about the concept of a haunted house, like the topic itself.
Yes.
And why not? Let's do it.
It's a rich place. I think that's one of the things too about haunted houses that was attractive to me personally anyway, is that there's just such an open playing field for whatever.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I thought it'd be really fun. So we thought maybe today we'd talk a little bit about our experiences with haunted houses. And
now, do you mean, let's be clear here. Do you mean,
yes,
here's my $20, good sir. I understand that they can't touch.
spook me.
Yeah. Spook you in the mouth.
Yeah. Anywhere you want.
Spook on my back.
Yeah, I think we did this. But,
No, we didn't.
I think that. I mean, if we want to talk about a fun experience we had in like a traditional, I paid to go into a haunted house, cool.
Yeah.
I thought about it more like
Actual.
we went to
yeah.
an haunted house, or that house was haunted, or there was a presence, or something bad happened.
Yeah. No,
That's what I
fine.
thought. That's what I thought we'd talk about. And
How
it's
many
funny-
houses, when you leave, then like, oh, there's definitely something horrible went down here.
Yeah.
It's just the moans are so strong that they stay.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
stick to
Yeah.
the walls.
Yeah.
But
Moans of disappointment.
I think Chuck goes to a house and they're burning sage, and Chuck is like, "Oh, I can't be here anymore," and just leaves.
And he has to get out of there.
yeah.
No, well, before we get too far into it, I think what we need to understand is where we're coming from. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So, do you believe in ghosts?
Here's the thing. I can't rule it out, but I'm skeptical of ghosts the way they are portrayed. But there are so many accounts of people like waking up with the feeling at 3 a.m. and then they call their parents. You know, all these like weird something is going on here situations.
Okay.
But do I think that there is like, oh, you know, Chuck murdered Brad on his cousin's porch, and now Brad walks that porch for eternity? No, not really.
Yeah.
But you know, I do. You know, I come from a religious background. Like, I was definitely scared of ghosts and spook and specters and ghouls when I was little. And my mom's like, "Don't you think Jesus could protect you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, good point." And I just went back to bed.
Ugh.
I know.
I hate that.
I know.
No, not. I mean, I love that for you.
Yeah. No, you know what, though? The Jesus I was picturing,
Yeah.
guns. Guns all over.
I pictured different guns.
Yeah, no.
Like he had guns for days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
He had 6-pack.
He was wiry, but strapped. And so, you know, I don't want to rule out anyone else's supernatural thing. But I have not had any encounters with the paranormal. If you were like, oh, did you have like a religious experience? Yeah. And, you know, Are the two things cousins? Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I definitely come from a more rational worldview with mainstream Christian religion, not American evangelicalism, being my vice away from rationalism.
Okay. So a little bit of a rationalist with a side of waffle.
Yeah.
A side
it's
order of waffle.
But it's not a large waffle. It's a Liège waffle. It's not like a big plate-sized Belgian waffle.
Got it. I'm there without the waffle.
Yeah.
I think. I fall on. I don't believe in ghosts. I think the human brain is fascinating, and I think that a lot of things can happen.
Yes.
That someone may think they're having an experience, but they are not, right? I think often a ghostly experience is had when someone is expecting a ghostly experience.
Yes.
And I think, things of like people waking up in the middle of the night and there was somebody there, like sleep paralysis. Like there's,
Yeah.
I definitely fall on the Scooby-Doo end of the spectrum, where whenever you see the monster, usually it's just the guy that
Old Man
runs the
Roar.
water slide,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I fall. However,
I got to drum up business for my water slide.
yeah, I feel like I feel that way, and then also recognize that alone in a scary place, I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in him, and maybe tonight will change my mind. You know what I mean? Like that kind of feeling.
I'm like you, but I have more of the second I say the sentence, I don't believe in ghosts,
That's
someone
when
is
it happens,
zooming in and playing it back in slow motion
Yeah,
before like the opening credits of my downfall.
yeah.
So it's like I much like, I mean, I'm a little superstitious in a lot of ways. Example, if I have a big gig I want to get, let's say there's a big film gig or a big thing, whatever it was with my band, an interview we were going to get. If it's like, yeah, this person, you might be hired for this thing on Saturday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I will not put it in my calendar because I'm jinxing it by putting it in before it's confirmed.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the
those
same.
are those are little.
Yeah.
Little, kind of. I would. Those are like glove box superstitions. You know what I mean? There's little things.
I agree, but
Yeah.
I feel the same way about saying I don't believe in ghosts.
Mm.
The second I do that, I'm jinxing myself, and I'm getting my anus tickled like Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters.
I don't think that's what happened to Dan.
Director's cut. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Who ate?
Well,
Was it a director's cut,
well, Chuck-
or was it a Chuck cut?
It was a Chuck cut.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a director.
I was wearing a hat. I was wearing that hat, the one that said director.
He's got the big megaphone.
Yeah. And tickle his butt. Keep tickling.
Oh, wow.
Tickle. We got to get a new tickler. Oh, that'll do. That'll do. That's fun.
So in other words, that's kind of how I feel. I feel the same way, but I'm
Yeah.
like you, where I'm like, I walk around at night at 3 a.m. sometimes just go for a walk, and I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's that
yeah.
stuff. And
Years and years and years ago, my car broke down. So still when I lived in Indiana, my car broke down, and I was waiting. Or I had to walk to get to a payphone because it was 2002, and I was like, boy, you know what episode of Buffy was good? The one with the werewolves running around the woods at night. And I look to my right, and there's woods, and I look across the street, and there's woods, and I'm like, oh no. Now I believe in werewolves. And so I just walked faster. And again, like my rational brain is saying this is so stupid.
Yeah.
But my little lizard brain, my prey brain was like, you're going to get eaten by werewolves tonight. And if you were like, oh, was there a full moon that night? I don't know. Too scared to look up.
I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look.
Yeah.
I also, that's one of my superstitions, is when I close my windows late at night and I close the shades, I don't look outside in case I see a thing.
That's fair. Listen, we've talked about this kind of idea before. Like, if I go into the bathroom at night, I gots to poke at that shower curtain. I gots to do a quick one.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, me too.
All right,
even
so
a
we're
little.
all huge chickens,
Yes.
but with a haunted experience, right?
Yes.
So I think we all fall on the skeptic side of things, right?
Right.
Have you ever experienced oh, hold on, sorry. we've got our first trick-or-treaters.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry. We'll get back to this. And then we've got some kids here. And Brad, why don't you...
Ooh, I see one that's dressed as a high school detective but wearing an N95 mask. Oh, I get it. That must be Veronica Sars.
Oh...
High school detective. Joe, no one knows about.
He
do you
said
mean
he
no
had
one
one in
knows
the
about it?
chamber, and that was prepared.
That was one that the other night I'm like,
The other night.
all right. What are characters I know?
What are the kids into these days?
I have no idea.
That's fair.
What were the kids into 20 years ago?
Well, you can
SARS.
have one. This outdated child. Yep.
I'm
there you
gonna
go.
say I miss SARS. Didn't seem simpler with
Simpler.
SARS. Didn't it simpler?
It did seem simpler.
Like SARS versus COVID. What do you prefer?
Well, COVID is a part of there. It's SARS-CoV-19.
SARS is Cove.
I mean, it's tangentially related.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're the same.
I'm not an epidemiologist.
Yeah.
When SARS was big, that wasn't COVID yet.
No.
Not yet.
That was like HIV to COVID's AIDS.
Oh no.
You guys brought this up.
I think we just found
No,
the
I
real
brought up-
haunted house,
I brought
and that
up
is
SARS.
up in his
Brad wanted to talk
noggin.
about SARS. You said it's the same thing as COVID, and I'm the bad guy.
Here's what I did.
I'm still
I-
handing out the candy.
I went through the alphabet until I found something that worked with Mars, and I was like, great, that's the one I need. I'm done.
All right.
the kids are waiting.
Yeah, they don't
Chuck,
like
do you
this.
want to recognize one of these children?
Oh, wait, I've got another timely one.
Okay.
It's Coolio.
Like Julio?
It's Coolio,
That's
but
timely?
cool.
God damn it.
I found my angle for this bit.
Oh, look.
And it's outdated references.
It's an elderly woman licking a donut? Ariana Grandma?
Licking a donut. That's good. That's a good one.
That wasn't prepared.
It's going to be a long night.
You know, that
Well,
kid walked up and I
Julio
looked
wasn't
at it.
prepared.
Did she have SARS?
Julio was fine. What's that? Do you have SARS? No, she doesn't have SARS. What? Oh, pig flu. Oh, no.
Full-blown COVID?
It's not swine flu. It's something new? Pig flu?
Wow.
Okay.
That's all right. Well,
What?
thank you.
Something off color about the Jewish peoples? Oh,
Not
God.
cool. Not cool.
That's not cool. Get out of here. Give me the candy back. Get out of here, scamp.
right.
What a scamp. All
Yeah.
right. So,
You were asking about haunted experiences.
yeah. This porch is having one right now.
Did you? So, all right. Haunted experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked before a little bit about how once in a while I would go to a place called Tower Hill in Bristol, right?
Sure.
Yes.
We've talked about this already. I don't know if I said it, but I did have a specific time when I went down there and to scare some people. I know I told a different story about me and a young woman and the
Yep.
flashing and all that.
You scared her. Yeah.
No. So the other time I went down there. It's a hill in Bristol, Rhode Island.
That's
There's-
right. Here in Rhode Island, that's all it takes.
Hill.
A hill.
One hill.
A hill.
No street lights. And on this long street with a hill, it would probably take you 6 minutes to drive all the way down and come all the way back. It's a dead end. It's through the woods. There are 3 gigantic white X's along it.
Is grandmother's house up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you go
Over the river.
over the hills.
Yeah.
Through the woods.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The 3 white X's, and if you stop on the third one, you're supposed to turn off your car. There's a whole thing. I don't even remember all of it.
Turn around.
Right. Something.
Jump.
Yeah, put your leg in.
Yeah.
And the idea is that it was where many natives were murdered because, we're in New England, where a lot of the Pocahontas type of stuff happened. The cutting.
That was just racism straight up.
What do you mean?
You said Pocahontas type stuff?
Yeah, the stuff in Pocahontas. It's the settlers coming from England and they kill people. And Pocahontas is like, don't do this. And John Smith
All right,
falls in love with
I've never heard
Pocahontas.
somebody refer to New England as like, that's where all that Pocahontas type stuff happened.
Well, I
You know
thought
what mean?
that was the story of Pocahontas.
I thought you were referring to the peoples as
Oh, like not the situation.
Pocahontas type stuff.
No, what I'm referring to is like the fact that all these settlers came over from England.
Yes.
And they massacred Native Americans.
That is true. Yeah.
In New England.
Yeah.
I think that's okay to say. So anyway,
I mean, that's history, what you just described, but
that's-
not Pocahontas type stuff.
that's a pretty good story that tells about it. What's a better example?
It's just the phrasing.
the phrasing. It's not an example.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like
Isn't that what
Pocahontas.
happened?
Didn't Pocahontas take place in Virginia, not New England?
How could they go to Virginia?
What do you mean? How could they go to Virginia?
I thought it was
What?
New England. Plymouth Rock.
They went almost
Roanoke,
everywhere.
Jamestown.
What about it?
That's in Virginia.
No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. But I would think they'd come here first. That's where Plymouth Rock was.
They would
Mayflower.
come here for. So wait, so they were going across the ocean before they even got here, and they were like, I mean, we got to stop there. That's where Plymouth Rock
Here's
is.
what
We got to see it. Oh, it's
Yeah.
disappointing.
Here's
I thought
what I
it'd be
know
bigger.
about this whole England America thing.
This is horrifying for a different reason. What we're learning now is the failures of the American education system.
I thought that they came to New England first when they got to America. I thought that happened. I thought Plymouth Rock was in Massachusetts, and that was where they landed.
I mean,
How close is that to true?
The
Yeah,
Pilgrims.
sure, the
like
Pilgrims,
one
yeah.
specific boat.
yeah,
Nice
one
word.
group of people.
So so if everyone did it and to all these different places, why is Plymouth Rock even important?
Because it was the first one. It was like
That's
where
what
they.
I just said. But
Yes.
you said it wasn't.
No, you said they all came here.
I don't know.
But also Pocahontas didn't. Oh God, I just said that like it's like like Pearl Harbor. Pocahontas didn't happen like the next day. They didn't land at Plymouth Rock and go, we're going to start a colony right here. And then a lady walked up and went, hi, my name's Pocahontas. Does anybody want to go on like a really long adventure?
I thought they came here. They were doing bad stuff to the Native Americans. John Smith was part of it. Fell in love with Pocahontas. Saw the error of his ways. Told the English people, let's stop doing this. And they stopped. And we've all been fine since then.
All right. I would love to live in that world. I would love to live in that world.
That's what I thought happened. The
Oh.
raccoon was there.
The world-
He's singing at night.
Oh, the world according to Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all live in harmony.
Yep.
That is true.
It is true.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a guy in the woods who was a Native American. They lived in that area. There's a throne made out of stone in the woods.
Yes, you've told us about this.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be a haunted area.
Yeah.
So you stop on the third X. I don't know if you have to do a thing like Bloody Mary, you say a thing. And anyway,
Pocahontas, Pocahontas, Pocahontas.
Rock me, Pocahontas.
she's Beetlejuice. And but
Oh no, I was doing like Amadeus.
Rock me Amadeus.
oh,
Yeah.
I was doing
Pocahontas. Pocahontas.
You say Pocahontas 3 times and it's
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
We were all doing different bits.
You know what I mean? So
Vern.
swerve.
It'll be a long night.
Aren't you pop
Wow,
culture?
guys, I think we figured it out. The third one is where we let him down.
So we went down there and we said,
Yeah.
me and my buddy Jordan, we said, let's drop off 2 of our friends, Lou and Christian. Christian is the person whose house we're at right now. And we're going to get some ladies, bring them down, and scare the hell out of them, right?
Okay.
And this is when we're like 17.
Yeah.
And, they're just going to, like, maybe touch the car and, like, mess with the door. Just being dumb kids.
Boy crimes.
We let them out. Jordan and I went to go turn around, and my car completely shut down. And my car never did that, ever. It never was like all of a sudden you're driving and you go to turn around and your car shuts off.
Yeah.
And it did do that there, and we fucking lost it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I guess it has to be some kind of mechanical or electrical failure in real life.
Sure.
But it is kind of a strange coincidence that it happened right there where
Sure.
there's supposed to be the thing that happens.
I get it.
So that happened to me. That wasn't so bad. You know what I mean? That was kind of like, oh, that's a moment. And plus I'm with 3 of my friends, so it's like it's not that scary.
Yeah.
I have gone to a few insane asylums that were abandoned.
Looking for chicks?
Looking for we're gonna scare
Yeah.
we're gonna scare the ladies.
Yeah.
No, so
Yeah.
it was probably
Get out of that cell and into my car.
It was probably like 7 or 8 of us. You're 19, you're 20. You're like, I heard that there's a way into this place.
Yeah, yeah.
So, whatever. We went there. It scared the fuck out of me the entire time. Like, I'm one of the people that's too much of a pussy to do that stuff, but I'm also too much of a pussy to tell my friends I don't want to do that stuff. So I just go and deal with it.
Yeah. What's
And
that sound? And
I'm
it's
just-
your knees knocking together.
Yeah, exactly. I have to go to the doctor next day because I was so tense. I can't move.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Guys, I can't poop anymore.
so nothing really there. I'm generally a scared person. I get scared of things. But one thing did happen that I did want to tell the story about on this podcast. It's not exactly a traditional haunted house, but it has to do with a house and a ghost and a thing. But before we get to that, Brad, how about you? I want to know about Brad's haunted experiences.
Right, we were going to do all of us.
Yeah, I want to.
We just decided at that moment that we weren't going to do anybody else. It was
No,
weird.
I said we're going to do Brad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing.
Nothing?
I don't have one. Like the closest I came was we had watched Paranormal Activity at Chuck's house, and I went back when I was in charge of a residence hall. I walked a lap of the building.
I know about this.
I opened one end of the hallway, and the door at the other end shut, just equalizing air pressure.
Yeah.
However, I had just watched Paranormal Activity or Paranormal Activity 2, whichever, and I'm like, ghosts. And I power walked back to my apartment because, of course, if a ghost is chasing me, it can't get in my apartment. And just waited for my heart to stop racing. Again, I knew it was irrational as I was doing it. No one was around to witness it. If I didn't tell people this story, no one would know that I had this moment of fear. But if you were like, oh, was there an actual ghost there? No.
Yeah.
Oh, what about the night I woke up with a malevolent spirit over my bed and couldn't move?
That was Chuck.
Sleep paralysis. Well, here's the thing. I had just learned some senior discount lyrics, and I was like, what does bumbaclot mean? And so I Googled it.
I put that in one of our songs.
So I Googled it, and they're like, yeah, it's something you shout at an evil spirit to ward it away.
Okay.
And so, sleep-paralyzed Brad was like, bumbaclot. And then I woke up. So clearly it worked. I was possessed briefly
By a Jamaican spirit?
in the resident director apartment of Pinedale Hall at UMass Dartmouth in, 2008.
A hotbed of paranormal activity.
Oh. I mean, there was criminal activity, but not paranormal activity that went in that hall a
That's
couple years
very,
later.
very fun.
So,
I did
nothing
put
like...
a song, yeah.
Yeah. So no fun ghost hauntings. My car died, but it's because it was an '86 Buick, and that's just what it did. So.
And you got that car the year that you retired.
Well, it was the first one made. It was an 1886 Buick.
Yeah.
So
By Mr. Buick himself,
I'm not
Reginald Buick.
it was just I didn't crank it hard enough.
Yeah. Chuck's got the opposite problem.
Yep.
I had to go back to the doctor.
Yeah.
So silly.
Tell us about your paranormal activity.
Well, I haven't. I have not experienced a spirit of any kind. The closest, oh my God moment I talked about on the podcast before, the mill buildings in Dover, New Hampshire.
Your time traveling friend.
Yeah, I saw a costumed person, and I for a second I was like, oh boy, is this it? Is this when it happens?
Yeah.
No, I mean I've stayed in places that were supposedly haunted. A couple of hotels, things like that. The hotel that my wife and we got married at this beautiful the Lucerne Inn in Maine. It's beautiful. The wind picked up just as I mentioned it.
Uh-oh.
It's tickling my
haunting
brain, too.
Well,
Yeah,
that's our
that's
cleaver.
the cleaver.
That's a cleaver.
Yeah,
I know. Cleaver tickling
brain
your brain.
tickler.
Yeah.
And
It's just a brain tickler. If you're a bad guy.
if you were a bad guy, yeah. Let's get this. Let's get this little guy home. So, no, it was the Lucerne Inn, and it's supposed to be haunted. And we stayed there the night that we got married,
Right.
and everything was fine. No ghosties.
Right.
I think my wife is still my wife. I think that's still Kalina that's in there.
If not, it's a dedicated ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been married for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been married for 15 years. So at this point, if that ghost did enter her body the night of our marriage, I think I love that ghost.
Oh.
Well, I was gonna say
see.
ghosts,
You've really
you
built
know?
a life with that ghost.
Ghosts,
Yeah.
famously patient.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, every time you
So she could be playing the long con.
go back
Yeah.
up to that area, you're like, oh yeah, I was supposed to solve a murder.
Yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah. And Kalina does often, like when we are up in Maine, if we go down certain roads, she does often just start screaming,
Yeah.
but like one long scream where you think she would have to breathe at some point,
Yeah,
but she
but no,
doesn't. Her mouth is just open, like further down than you think humanly possible.
Yeah.
And a couple of bees
women
have
are
come out.
amazing. That's
Women
awesome.
are amazing. You know what I mean?
You know what though? You should drive her down Tower Hill.
You gotta scare them.
Ooh, scare the bees out of her. Yeah, you got to scare these women. But no,
We'll have
so
Christian
I
and
haven't.
Lou wait in the woods.
I haven't had any ghost experiences. I really do fall on that line of like I don't believe in ghosts, But if I'm in a scary situation, like maybe today, you know what I mean? Like that's
exactly. I will say I do have one more that I just tickled my memory box when the bad guy touched me.
Yep.
So
It's me.
that is in a court deposition.
Yep.
Like that's what that sounded like. I did just something tickled my memory box when the bad guy touched me.
Ugh.
He reminded me that the Pocahontas all happened around here. Jesus Christ!
So, what I'm saying makes total sense. You guys are.
I feel like half the trick or treaters have come up to the to ask for candy,
parents
have heard what you've been saying,
Yeah.
and they just go and turn around and walk away.
Kids are
Walk
crying.
away. I saw one little girl dressed as a princess, and she looked back at her parents, going like that.
the mom does the thing where she puts her hands over the eyes.
Yeah.
Let's go, honey.
No.
No, Pocahontas was not in Boston.
I'll give you a real. This is totally true. I'm not making this up at all.
Yeah.
I used to live at my parents' house when I was probably around the age of 19.
Yeah.
And it was a raised ranch, so my house, my bedroom was in the basement. There was a window that was at ground level.
Yes.
You know. And one night, I was in my bed falling asleep. I heard a knock on the window.
Yep.
This is 100% what I remember.
Right.
Did you ever tell you this story?
Yes.
I think we talked about this on the podcast because we had a guy at my friend Sean's house, raised ranch in the basement. He was knocking on the window.
Yeah, and maybe I brought it up then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same guy.
So
Same guy.
I moved the curtains and I looked, and it was a little kid, clearly like ghost, like white with like blue and white and gray. I'm not even kidding. This is not even. And I remember looking at him, and he was just looking at me. Little kid, 4 a.m, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was so scared and disturbed that I put the shade back and I went in my bed and I'm like, this is not happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, but this is not real. And I woke up the next day, and ever since then I've been like, that was a dream?
Yeah.
Or some sort of, I'm falling asleep and I'm half dreaming and that's what I've chalked it up to since then.
Yeah.
Because I will not face
Yeah,
a different possibility.
I think in this case, I would feel confident in saying Occam's razor. You were having a dream.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I when I was young, and this isn't really like ghosty, I used to hallucinate a lot. I've told you about this, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So like I used to be, and it would happen when I was falling asleep. I would go to fall asleep, and I would see giant bugs in my room and people in my room and men, and they would take me, and like I would see all these figures and stuff like that. And then and it's happened when people were around me. Like when my buddy Jordan was sleeping over one time, I turned on the lights in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's bugs. I'm like, it went over here, and I'm looking and I'm moving furniture, and he
Yeah.
was like, something is wrong with you.
Yeah, they're technically that's night terrors.
Yeah,
You
I think
I had night terrors
You got to
as well.
shout Bumbleclot at him.
One time,
I had night terrors as well. Like
Oh, really?
I scared the shit out of my mom when I was a kid.
I think you did.
Yeah,
You did mention this.
single mom.
Yep.
Not me. My mom was.
Yeah.
Single mom, and like she would find me in like second grade, first grade, kindergarten. She would wake up in the middle of the night hearing the water running, and I'd be running like the faucet or the tub, like putting my hands under it, and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "My hands are dissolving. My hands are dissolving."
Wow.
And I would be doing that. She said one time I went into her bedroom. She woke up. I'm standing in the doorway as like a kindergarten kid, and I go, "World War III's coming," and I turned around and walked away. In kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was?
So I wasn't scared because I was just a child.
Yeah.
But that would have scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So this is 35 years ago.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, his eyes are going crazy.
1990-ish.
Yes.
I wonder if you saw something in the news.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Before that, 1989.
Yeah. Interesting.
He
Wow.
predicted Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah.
I will say
And-
this.
But no,
you have more?
this happened like with for a long period of time, and my pediatrician was just like, "Oh, it'll go away when he hits puberty," and it did. It just went away. But it was It was bad. It was very, very, very bad.
I think mine was the worst when I was in my late teens.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I think really affected it too?
Because you hadn't hit you didn't hit puberty until 24.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like this today.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck in it.
I know.
And now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for a switch. You know.
I think we should look into the paperwork because I really do think Funbearable legally counts as like a 401b or something like a 501b or whatever, a non-profit organization.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think we qualify.
I mean, technically.
Yeah, and I think we could,
we're definitely non-profit.
I think we could get some state money. Is what I'm saying.
Ooh, baby, I like that.
Yeah, just show them the episodes.
But one of the things that I think impacted it is that I wear glasses, and so when I'm laying in my bed without my glasses,
Right.
my vision gets blurrier and my depth perception gets a little weirder.
Right.
So you ever have a thing where you're like hanging a hoodie on the door? And then you look at it quick, and you're like, "Oh man! Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And then you're like, you turn the lights on.
Yeah. Do you say that out loud?
Oh,
man!
yeah.
Oh my god!
But I had a lot of that. I had a lot of that. And then I will say, final thing I'll say about this.
Yes.
Just to give some credence to anyone who doesn't believe that I have crazy night terrors. I was at my parents' house, and this is like within the past 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was me, my mom. I don't know if Brad was there. It was a couple of my friends. And my dad ran out of his room at like 1 a.m. And he goes, "They're climbing the ladders. They're getting in the house."
Yeah. Yeah.
And my dad thought that people were trying to get in the house with ladders, and he had night terrors. My
Yeah.
mom's like, "Yeah, he does this once in a while."
Yep.
So
Yep.
those are kind of my smaller ones, and we've shared our not ghosty but like very frightening. We may have thought it was a ghost at a time.
Sure.
experiences.
Yeah.
But there's one really specific one that I thought was interesting to bring up. All right, so I bought a house in 2012, and I was in my house.
For our younger listeners, you used to be able to purchase a whole home.
Yes, even if you were me.
Yeah. Isn't that fucked?
I think I made $7 a week playing my guitar.
This guy shrieks when he sees a man,
Yes.
and he has a mortgage.
I said, this wasn't one of those Pocahontas grave sites, is it?
That's how you get a poultrygeist. They make me sleepy.
So, bought my house, moved in, great. Now, I'm not going to share the name of this man that came over.
Oh no! Already it's getting scary.
Yep.
Knock on the door. Unexpected man.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turns out, just a hoodie.
Well, my
Blowing in the
glasses on.
wind.
No, it was a guy that I knew, and he wasn't a close friend, but he was a nice guy that I had hung out with several times. And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man? Let's call him Pete."
Jeffrey Epstein.
Pete. And so I said, "Oh, what's up, Pete? What's going on?" He goes, "I heard that you moved into my house." And I was like, "Oh, really? What do you mean?" And he's like, "This is the house I grew up in." And I was like, "No way." He's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Wow, that's really cool." And he points to the stairs and he goes, "My stepdad died right there."
That's fucking great.
Yep.
And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
And he said, "My stepdad had a heart attack and he died on the stairs right here." And he patted the stairs.
I love
And I
this.
went-
I love this. This man, I would love to find out later on. It's like, nah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, and so I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Yep." And then he walked in and he went, "The people after us, they told us a lot of stories of some stuff that happened." And I was like, in my head, I'm like, "Go away, stop it.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
your mouth shut. Don't tell me
This
the
is why I
story."
always shriek at men.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he basically told me, and I don't want to get the details of this story wrong, which is kind of why I don't want to name him.
Yeah.
I feel like either his mother or someone had a long health battle in that house. And they were having trouble like moving out when they were selling the house.
Sure.
And so the family that bought the house from them before I moved in was really mean to them while the mom was like, or the relative was like literally like passing away.
Oh, I don't like that.
And so the dad, according to him, haunted the shit out of this family, and he believed it was like retribution. And they would smell the dad's cigars all the time in the house.
Ooh, I like that. That's a nice touch.
Right?
Yeah.
Cigars.
Yeah.
So, you know how I feel about ghosts. I just explained my thing. I don't want to go out and say I don't believe in ghosts. I feel like as soon as that happened, a ghost is going to grab me by the nutsack.
Right.
And
Well, put it away.
Yeah.
I'm also
For
very
once.
easily frightened.
Yes.
I'm so
Yeah.
easily scared. I'm seeing men. I'm seeing spiders. So at the time, I'm dating my ex-girlfriend, who I bought the house with.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend is named Alyssa, and we are in we have a good relationship today. She seems very happy and stuff like that. She's very nice, and
You said she seems happier now than when you were together.
oh yeah,
That's really good.
No, I don't know.
Good for her. Good for you, Alyssa.
I didn't say that. She's
Good
not
for
that.
you. She doesn't watch this
She's
or
not
listen
that,
to it.
She's not that happy, and she's like a 6 on the happiness scale. So
I saw her the other day. She said elated.
Yes.
Yeah.
She said 11. On
Yeah,
that.
but then
yeah.
she had the tear, right?
She was like sobbing,
of
like
joy.
that tears of joy kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, she
Yeah.
walks around like that. Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
healthy.
Yes.
No, just kidding. But so
She said huge weight lifted off my soul.
yes,
Was one of those things.
so
She said, I'm unburdened, free at last, free at last.
Yeah.
Thank God Almighty, I'm
burning
free
the
at
sage.
last. Yeah.
So she comes home from work, whatever, at the time, and she's pretty into the occult stuff. She likes like tarot cards, and she likes the idea of
Right.
ghosts and stuff. And so I told her, and obviously she knows that I wouldn't be happy about this, and she was like, "Oh wow, that's really interesting," and her interest was piqued, right?
Yeah.
But then, after a few days, her interest was no longer piqued.
Okay.
She was pretty unhappy.
Yeah.
And so I wrote her earlier this week, and I said, hey, we're doing an episode of Funbearable about haunted houses, and I wanted to see if you would write to me about what you experienced in our house after our friend Peter came over and told us about his dad dying in the house.
Stepdad.
Yep.
And perhaps haunting.
Yeah.
And she said, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
So I have what
No,
you wrote
she
here.
said, I don't have to go anywhere, do I? And you said, yeah. And she said, I can just send you a message? Yes. Sorry, I was continuing
miss
the joke.
Alyssa.
Go ahead.
No, it was good.
She's a good kid.
So Alyssa wrote to me. She said,
Glad she got out of that bad situation she
Yeah.
had been in. Yeah.
she said, I can't remember the exact time frame of when each experience occurred in relation to the other, or which experiences occurred before we learned about
A lot of
Peter's-
my life with you was a blur, is what
Yeah.
she's saying. Yeah.
about Peter's stepdad passing. But the experiences overall got progressively worse with time.
Uh-oh.
Dating you or this situation?
So this is talking about Peter's stepdad. She said,
Step Peter.
started off as a creepy vibe. It felt like someone was watching me. It happened in the basement while I was doing laundry, in the shower, and upstairs in bed while trying to fall asleep.
To be fair, you did often hide and watch her.
I watch people.
I'm a people watcher.
I'm a people pleaser.
People.
I'm just a student of humanity.
Zip up my coat, my nose. She says, I had a vivid nightmare of something dragging me from our bed all the way downstairs into the basement. I would experience heart palpitations and rapid heartbeat in bed while trying to fall asleep, and then feel
Well, that was the smell.
I'm
sorry, these are too easy.
and then feel extremely scared / felt like someone was in the room. This continued for the rest of my time in the house and would be my alert that the thing was near me.
Ooh.
I would wake up to multiple.
I love that you had cute pet names for each other.
I would wake up to multiple occasions of either my arm or my leg being lifted into the air, plus the heart palpitations and rapid heartbeat. And I don't
And
remember.
she'd be like, no, Chuck, I'm tired.
By the way, this next part, I don't remember any of this.
Okay.
I had a friend over, Cindy, who I was telling all of this to, and she brought over an audio recorder from our job. We would have to record sessions with patients at the hospital for us to record asking the thing questions and to see if we could get a response on the device. We did the session on the floor next to my spot in our bed. At one point while recording, I told Cindy I felt the thing was in the room and it was behind her. When we listened to the recorded session back, right at that point where I was saying this to Cindy, the recording glitched. My voice was warped and low-pitched and sounded demonic. Another time, Cindy came over to hang out. She took a shower at one point and left shortly after. She later told me she started to experience a migraine. Thought a shower would help, but while she was in the shower, something roared in her ear to get out. I started to sleep downstairs in the living room on the couch with all the lights on, and that would still not stop the scared feeling / racing heart / not being able to sleep. All of this happened over the course of moving into the house and breaking up. It obviously progressed, got worse over time, coinciding with the breakup. But once I moved out, I didn't have these experiences anymore. So I believed whatever it was in the house and stayed there. It was evil.
It was Chuck.
It was evil. It probably fed off the negative energy that was around.
Wow.
It was truly frightening. I could not sleep and felt scared most of the time being in
These
there.
are all the things I would say to a police officer if I was looking for you when you were missing.
Yes.
If they could describe him, I'd be like an evil presence.
You know what's weird too? Because so that was everything she wrote. I appreciate Alyssa writing.
Thank
it.
Thank
you,
you,
Alyssa.
Alyssa.
Yes. I will say, after he said the cigar thing,
Yeah.
and I'm sure a lot of other people would probably do this too. It's you're constantly wait a minute, what? Did I smell?
Of
Did
course.
I smell this?
Yeah.
Hold on. What is that? What does it smell like exactly?
Hold on.
And you're Googling cigar. You're Googling
What was the brand of cigar? Was it fart?
You're Googling. You're Googling what does a cigar smell like?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
does this? And so, I guess because when she told me all this stuff at the time, it freaked me out.
Yeah.
But I also am kind of what? We just bought this house. This is so.
Yeah,
this
sure,
is a lot
sure.
to
Of
deal
course,
with.
of course.
We haven't been together for 12 years now, so I don't
Yeah.
feel too bad saying this. I was come on, we just bought this goddamn house. There can't be a ghost in it.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, what she said about all this stuff scared me and made me uncomfortable and made me wait, what? Am I crazy? What? Hey, you start thinking about movies, movies where someone is I don't know, who you're crazy.
Right.
You start thinking you're that person.
Yeah.
So she moved out, and then I believe 2 years later, we had the house fire.
Oh,
And my
that's
house
right.
burned
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
The investigators said it was caused by a single cigar.
Whenever I get scared. So
That's the funniest fart noise. I'm sorry, it really is.
No, that's
it's
funny.
so much better than any kind of
Yeah.
that.
that is funny.
because it's so secretive. I think.
Oh yeah.
It's asking a question. Is what it's doing.
Now you know what I think happened. Can I tell you my theory?
Well, can I just finish my quick thing? I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
please.
I kind of consider when the house burned down and they completely rebuilt it. To me, it's different. The stairs aren't even the same.
Right,
it's, we changed the whole everything. So
Yeah.
to me, whatever the deal was, it's a new house.
I totally get that, and I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I think for a different reason. I think the spirit is gone, and I think that spirit right now is telling a spirit friend, "Yeah, I was in the house haunting, and then this real fucking evil guy showed up." Right? He's talking about it this fucking creep there. Oh my god. I remember I could see him everywhere I went, and then I turned around and there he was, and he was a man with big long hair, and it stood up. Oh, he's so tall. Oh, so tall and high in the
Long
sky.
hair.
Right? It was long, but it went up. It went up.
You want to hear?
He would just
supposed to
watch
go
me.
down.
He would just watch me. Just watch me.
He would just
Said I'm a spirit watcher.
I'll tell you a funny thing that reminded me of this situation.
always masturbating. Always jerking off. Yeah, and the ghost is like, I'm out of here. I'm sorry.
That's the secret to getting rid of a ghost. That's
Yeah.
how Chuck busts ghosts.
I'll tell you.
They don't show that on the ghost hunting shows.
No.
I'll tell you.
The night vision, and he's like, all right. You know?
Whenever I've walked around,
Yes.
you know about this?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. 'Cause
Oh, no,
I was
no.
cutting you off with my goof.
No, it's okay. Whenever I've walked around and been scared of something outside, I'll start doing crazy, stupid shit because I'm like, if this is a horror movie, this ruins it.
Oh, that's fun.
I really do
like
that,
that
so I'll be
idea.
like,
Good
yeah.
thing.
I'll
Yeah.
do something like that, and I'll be like, they can't use this.
Yeah, and then the
know?
audience is like, oh, kill this guy. Next time, if you get scared, you should start voicing loudly your opinions on Pocahontas.
You should start singing "Let It Be" by the Beatles.
Ooh.
Because a movie's not going to pay for rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is I was reminded of all this because when they were rebuilding my house, I don't know if you remember this, at the very end of it, they were like, hey, we need more money from you.
Mm-hmm.
They need $6,000. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, the insurance company has hit their maximum payout. We need you to pay us $6,000. And I said, for what? And they said, there's just a smell of smoke in the house that we cannot get rid of. But they were referring to the house fire smoke.
Yes.
Well,
yeah,
of
not
course,
cigar
yeah.
smoke.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it smell like cohibas in here?
Yeah.
Does this smell like Cuban cigars?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No.
I like how you're like, they said that it smelled like smoke. And it's like, can you just say it burned down?
Anyway, I mean, if you want to get spooky, the official cause of the house fire,
Negligence.
undetermined.
Undetermined negligence.
Undetermined negligence.
Yeah.
They were like, there was 3 stupid things he did that day.
Yeah.
It was one of the 3.
Yes.
You left those oily rags by that electric blanket.
Yeah.
I will say one of the weird things about the house fire was that it did start at an electrical outlet, and it was a house that's over 100 years old. So immediately you go, well, it's old, faulty wiring. That outlet was not there when I moved in. It was put in by the electrical inspector of the town, so it was actually the only new outlet in the house, and that's where the fire began. And they said, the people that did the investigation said, it was not at the outlet. That's the general area of where it started, but it's not from the outlet.
Which was right next to the stairs.
Which was right next to the stairs.
Yeah.
So it is, hey, maybe that guy burned my house down.
Maybe. Yeah.
Scared my ex-girlfriend away.
Did he, by any chance, did anybody find like an electric cigar
Yeah. Well, they didn't.
plugged in?
Well, it's not electric. It wasn't from the electrical outlet.
No, I know,
It was just
I know.
on the thing.
Yeah.
I will say that what I think it was, I think it was a candle. I think I blew a candle and an ember went up and it touched a hat and the whole house went up. And they
Wow.
said, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is what I'm going to tell people.
I think it was arson. Don't ask me why I suspect arson. Like, I have inside information about the actual cause of the fire. And I was like, Chuck, we have to go see the Peanuts movie tonight.
That's where we were. We were seeing the Peanuts
we
movie.
have-
God.
we have to go,
No, I
we have to go
just
to the
found out.
7:30 show. Do not be in your house after 7:35. You know, just weird. Just
Yeah.
a coincidence.
Brad and myself and a different ex-girlfriend were going to see the Peanuts movie.
Yeah.
You're having a good time.
Yeah.
We're driving back. We're singing the Peanut song.
You spent like 10 minutes on the drive back going over all of the details why Brad is Linus.
It's actually,
Charlie Brown.
it was why I'm Charlie Brown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then we
Chuck's all like, I'm Snoopy. Everybody knows I'm Snoopy. Watch me sit on this house.
Look at me
And
do
then you
this
get there
dance.
and it's on fire. You're like, oh,
You're
man.
breaking my piano.
Yes.
But yeah, then we drove home and that's when we found it out.
Yeah.
It was after the
Oh, my
Peanuts.
gosh.
Yeah, so that's kind of my personal experience with hauntings.
Yes.
Of different types. You know what I mean?
Oh, and real quick, before we move to the next thing, I will say to our viewer listener, if you have personal haunted house experiences or, you've heard a thing, definitely hit us up at funbearablepod@gmail.com. Write us, and we'll get to your email eventually, and we'll talk about it. We've had a couple of people write in about haunted experiences
Yes.
before.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we had a listener write in about their house, their dad, experiencing a slight haunt situation in Kittery, Maine, where I grew up.
Oh, that's
Remember
right.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. I like it.
I'd love to hear about stuff like that. It's no matter how you feel, it is such an interesting thing because you kind of want to be like, am I looking for some logic here? Am I getting a little nervous? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, we're human animals, and
Yes.
human beings really, really, really hate the unexplained.
Yes.
And our brains naturally look to fill in things, or if you see something chaotic,
right.
to put reason to it.
Right.
Right, yes.
This cloud looks like a bunny, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Often can happen in our brains where we hear a random noise and our minds interpret it as someone calling your name or something
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, absolutely.
But we have more information about haunted houses.
I did research some haunted houses from across America.
Hey, viewers, listeners, just cutting in really quickly to say to you a quick warning. We're pivoting at this point from the happy, fun stuff, the goofs, to still having those goofs, but with a little bit of like real stories of murder, because we're going to talk about haunted houses.
Yeah.
So just wanted to let you know, if you have kids listening or anything like that, we're going to get into some talk of real stuff.
Yeah.
If you have kids listening
yeah.
too, don't let them.
No,
Yeah,
please
what is
don't.
going on?
Why would you do that to
That's
your
okay.
children? But also, it's kind of cool that you have cool kids.
This is like a little mini roar,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Our edutainment for the evening.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, should we talk about the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River or the
Been there, done that. I
yeah.
mean, I didn't do it.
Right.
I mean, been there, didn't do it.
I mean, Chuck did do some whacking.
Didn't take 40.
40, that's
What
a
am
lot.
I, a machine?
Yeah, I was going to say.
19.
40, oh my God.
There's the
what am I edging?
the Conjuring House in Harrisville, Rhode Island. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, let's go further afield.
Yes.
I think it's the Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa.
I just watched a thing about this.
What?
It is. All right.
never heard of this.
So on June 10th, 1912, Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children and 2 visiting children, were murdered by axe in their beds.
Yeah,
in
take the ghost part out of this, and
Yep.
it's genuinely just horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Listen to this.
the crime
It's
remains unsolved. The home, blah blah blah. Just ghost wise, you can pay $428 to book the house for the night. But in 2014, a paranormal investigator stabbed himself non-fatally by morning. Still won't talk about what happened. You can spend $489 to book the whole house, or $160 for a single room overnight.
Yeah.
But the case of the murder is basically
Yeah, what happened with the
It's
murder?
unsolved.
the dad got chopped up with the axe. Like they cut his face so badly the eyes were just gone. And then 6 of the other people, the 4 kids, the wife, were like bludgeoned with the blunt side of the axe and killed. And then one of the girls woke up and she had defensive wounds, and she, I think, was also bludgeoned.
The girl with the defensive wounds. There were 2 girls staying over the night. It was not their daughters. They were friends of
Yeah.
the family that were they happened to be staying over that night.
Yeah.
And the killer
Yep.
was never found.
Right.
And also made a meal in the kitchen.
Yeah. Before he left.
Yeah, terrifying.
Like the list of suspects is fascinating because there are like some legitimate, like the reverend who preached at the services that night before they went back home. He eventually confessed to it, and they're like, "Oh, but like you confessed to all these other crimes, like you had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not reliable of your own thing." And he was also later. God, put this part in for Chuck. He 2 years after
Love
the murders,
ska.
he was arrested for sending obscene material through the mail.
Oh.
He was sexually harassing a woman who applied for a job as a secretary, went to a mental hospital, thought he might be the murderer. They obtained a confession,
They
but
thought he might be the murderer. He thought he might be the murderer.
he was fascinated with the case.
Okay.
And then he eventually confessed, but it followed many hours of interrogation, and he later recanted that.
Yeah.
He had 2 separate trials, acquitted. There was another guy that a state senator who didn't like the dad of the family hired an ex-convict to murder them. There was 9 months before that, there was a similar case of axe murder in Colorado Springs, and then in Ellsworth, Kansas, and Paola, Kansas.
And it followed the train line.
Yeah, the Southern Pacific Railroad.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
The common belief now is that it was an early American serial killer riding the rails and could hop into town.
And there's basically like not enough technology to really track
Right.
this person down.
He had an alibi that he was in Illinois, was released for lack of evidence, but a restaurant owner from Iowa said, "Oh, I saw that guy the morning after the murders. He was getting on a train and said he had walked to the train station from Villisca, where the murders happened." And it was reported that another woman was on her way to testify. She had heard 3 men in the woods plotting the murder of the family a short time before the killings. So, all right,
Not
so
us.
That's
it
suspect
wasn't
2.
us. We're 3 men, but we didn't do it.
Then there was
We're too young.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny
Yeah,
if it was
it was
like, oh, it
1912.
turned out it was just 3 idiots from the future doing a podcast.
Yes. Then there was a book in 2017 called The Man from the Train, and basically they discussed the murders as part of a much larger series of murders. Basically, he murdered someone in West Brookfield, Massachusetts, and kind of the same thing. And they found all these newspaper stories about like kind of a murder trail across the country. 59 people in 14 separate incidents, including the Colorado Springs and Paola crimes. Common features: selected families that lived near railroad tracks, struck an ambush about midnight when the victims were asleep, used the blunt side of an axe, used an axe found at the victim's home, left in plain sight after the murders, covered the victims with blankets. Like, all these things happened at the same crime. So like a professor of crime is like, yeah, that's the most reasonable explanation we have of who did this murder.
Yeah.
But again, you can pay $500 and talk to the ghosts yourself if you want.
So the explanation of the guy that doesn't line up with the three men in the woods, though, right?
No, it does not.
No.
Okay, all right.
But that could be
you know
anything.
what? Yeah, we,
Right.
we don't know. So,
Yeah.
so that's
it could be that guy telling some about two other guys,
Yeah, maybe.
right?
All right. Haunted house number 2.
Number 2, The Castle in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's an antebellum mansion, blah, blah, blah.
Ooh, I love it.
Was commandeered in 1861 as a Civil War military hospital. So a lot of like suffering and everything.
Ooh, this this one's juicy. The other one just scares me,
Yeah.
not for the ghost, but
Right.
for the idea of, because we skipped over a part of it. I'm sorry, I knew
It's all
a
right.
lot about the
No, it's fine.
Velasca house, Velisca. What they believe happened is the murderer broke into the home while they were out,
Yes.
Yeah.
hid in the attic, waited for everybody to go to sleep, then came out and murdered everyone.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck, isn't the attic entrance in your house like right next to your bedroom door? Anyway.
Doesn't it stink of cigars?
The Castle, Beaufort, South Carolina. Civil War hospital, the morgue out back, and after the house.
That's prime spooky time.
Yeah, after the war ended, supernatural sightings began. Among the spirits occupying the property is Gauche, a French dwarf jester who came to the area in the 16th century.
Hell yeah!
In the past, this ghost reportedly joined a young girl who lived in the home for tea parties and wandered the grounds in full sight of gardeners and visitors. The castle is privately owned, but occasionally opens for tours and events if you want to see it for yourself.
So their number one ghost
Is a French dwarf jester.
isn't even part. They had a Civil War hospital and
Yep.
morgue there.
Yep.
And then they're like, nah, French little person,
Yep.
right?
Well, you can't pick them. You can't pick them. They got to pick you.
They gotta pick you. They gotta pick
I'll say you say you can't pick them. I was talking about haunted houses the other night at Improv, and my friend Maz said the Lizzie Borden house. There was also a murder that took place next door, but the Lizzie Borden house can't buy that land for whatever. They won't sell it, whatever, and so they claimed that the ghost from that murder migrated to their basement. And I'm like,
That's so fun.
that's fantastic.
Oh,
It's so petty. I love it.
I don't want to get into it about the Lizzie Borden house, but I hear that the owners are like really, really tough and crappy.
Yeah.
And that there's like a coffee shop that opened across the street.
Yeah.
You heard about this?
Yeah.
And they called it Lizzie's, and the people tried to like sue them.
Of course.
And be like, we own Lizzie Borden,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
true story.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't.
I love it. I love the pettiness
Yeah.
of like what is essentially made up. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Them going, actually, the other ghost from next door, we just saw and heard it, and it's in our basement now.
our basement now.
So our ghosts, they're hanging out.
yeah.
Well,
right.
along those lines, we have haunted house number 3, the LaLaurie House in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Aha.
If you watched American Horror Story Coven, that was kind of it told the story behind this. A woman named Delphine LaLaurie, she was super rich, and she allegedly orchestrated kind of a torture chamber for slaves
Yes.
at her mansion in the early 1830s.
Yeah.
She made it herself, like with her own hands, like
She was she was a twisted, horrible person.
Yeah,
she's like a serial killer.
that she,
basically.
that she was like
She was a
torturing,
slave
like,
owner
like,
and- yeah.
like starving them or depriving them of this or cutting them open and
Right.
stretching them in terrible ways. The house's ghastly history, blah blah blah. Before losing the home to foreclosure in 2009, actor Nicolas Cage owned the house.
That's true.
It's for sale, but
I can't believe that there's 2 of the 5 so far.
yeah, that
I know well. I talked about this one with Mark Normand when he was on
because he's from New
Must
Orleans.
Content because
Oh,
he's
yeah.
from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we talked about that
Yep.
exact story. Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
crazy.
they went in and they found, like, at one point a fire had started and
Right.
they investigated, and the cook was chained to like the stove, and they think that she set the fire as a suicide attempt. But eventually, like, all the conditions of like, hey, this attic room had 5 chained up slaves with no food and they're, whatever. And the townspeople like revolted, rioted against her. She fled the country. She went to France, but they tore down the house. They burned down the whole thing. The house was rebuilt, and the rebuilt house is allegedly haunted, even though it is not the same timbers and everything. So your house might still be haunted.
No, it's impossible.
Okay.
But you also have crazy, horrible sex things go on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
People are chained up.
Yeah.
Similar chamber.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You didn't want to yes and it, and I get it. I didn't want to.
I kind of lightly nodded.
Yeah, yeah.
the current building has been used as a public high school, a music conservatory, an apartment building, a refuge for young delinquents. Not my words; it's someone else's. A bar, a furniture store,
You
and
tried
a
that for
luxury
a little
apartment.
while, Chuck.
Yeah.
You put that hastily written sign out front of your
Hey,
house.
delinquents. But yeah, that's another one that.
Refuge for young wayward souls.
I was gonna say delinquents. Cross out the D.
Souls.
SOLES.
That's another one that gives tours, charges admission. Haunted house number 4, the Sally House in Atchison, Kansas.
Ooh.
Allegedly one of the most haunted houses in America. The bad energy allegedly stems from a botched appendectomy of a 6-year-old girl.
Oh.
She died during a desperate procedure without anesthesia at the turn of the century.
Why was it desperate?
Because it was turn of the century.
Yeah, in the 1990s, a family who
Well,
lived
an
in the house.
appendectomy, you have to have that out immediately.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
The family says they were.
Appendix burst, you're like, that's got to come out.
The family said flying objects, frequent apparitions, a mist of scratching, gouging, and shoving, all mainly directed at the male owner of the house. The home is now vacant, but a popular pick for paranormal researchers, and even regular folks can book the house to stay the night. $125 per person with a 2-person minimum. We can go next summer.
$250.
Yep. The Sally House, blah, blah, blah. Now, the doctor who owned the house at the turn of the century, who allegedly botched this appendectomy, had, an office, including an operating room down the street. And, the way people describe the layout, isn't how the house is actually laid out. And there was talk about, hey, we need to drum up tourism for our town.
Really?
Yeah. But multiple former tenants have alleged paranormal activity. It has been especially reported by male residents and visitors, some of whom have claimed to have been scratched until they bled, which has led to Sally being dubbed the man-hating ghost. This could be because
They'll
thing
do anything to
she
keep a
saw
young woman
yes,
down.
yes. In the 1990s, it was on a bunch of shows. It's been on a bunch of ghost hunting TV shows.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is once it's out there, and then you get people going to places.
Yep.
What do you think's going to happen? Oh, we went all the way to Atchison.
Yep.
We want to see a ghost.
Right.
We believe that this ghost is here.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to spend the night.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? Of course, you're going to be
And
like,
the owners of the
this
house
happens.
have an interest in keeping
perpetuating
people
it. Yeah.
coming in. So, I mean, if you hear something crazy in the attic of a house,
Right.
Occam's razor.
It's a really interesting thing, and I'm just going to put this out there, even though this is kind of I don't know if people agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
I find it weird when people get to capitalize financially on death and torture and stuff like that from
Sure,
other people.
yeah.
Yep.
But that's the entire basis of the true crime media industry.
Yep.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel a little bit weird about that.
Sure.
Is
but
that-
that's been going on.
Oh, for
Forever,
sure, for
you
sure.
know, yeah.
It's like what you said before about the intrigue. That's why people.
Yeah.
That's why people make it. There's an audience that wants to know about this stuff.
Right.
And it's a tough thing for me to grapple with. And I don't really listen to any true crime podcasts. I do watch documentaries once in a while, but I went to watch the Golden State Killer one, and it was they had people that were victims of the stuff that he did in it, and they were crying and upset, and it felt too heavy for me to watch.
No, I don't. Yeah, see that I have no interest in. But someone telling a story about a crazy murder that happened in 1802
Yeah.
does interest me. I find it interesting. There's something about it. I think it's the human thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you start telling the tale of one of these things,
Yep.
Chuck and I both are kind of like, you know what I mean?
It's-
We're leaning into it, you know?
I agree. It doesn't hit a weird point where they're like, so it's this much to stay here for the weekend.
Yeah.
And it's this much if you want a picture with,
Yeah, of
with the
course.
axe. And
Yeah.
like that stuff
Yeah.
gets so weird to me.
Yep.
It feels weird. And like it's weird because I don't want to openly be like, I am against this, because that's not how I feel.
Yeah.
I just feel conflicted
Yeah.
I totally
about
get
the
that.
thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
I have a thing about that, but we'll talk about it off mic because it's super depressing. Number 5, haunted house number 5, the
By
Winchester.
the way, where did you get all that money yesterday?
It's not important. It's not important.
Yeah. You keep saying that.
Now that I think about it,
Nope, don't think about it. Haunted house number 5. That's the important thing.
you have asked me multiple times over the past few days, how do you spell appendectomy?
Yes.
He's making it sign.
It's a home for wayward appendices.
Yeah.
Haunted house number 5, the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California.
Classic.
Now I'm going to read.
That's number 3. I know 3 of the 5.
I'm going to read the tourism thing first.
Sure.
Sarah Winchester's husband developed the gun that won the West, the Winchester rifle, a decision that would come back to haunt her. Literally. After losing her husband and young daughter, the widow consulted a spiritualist who alleged the family was haunted by Native Americans, Civil War soldiers, and anyone killed by her husband's famous Winchester rifle.
It was a Pocahontas type thing.
She was recommended to use her $20 million inheritance to build a home to appease the spirits. What began as an 8-room farmhouse was added onto for 26 years between 1886 and 1922, becoming a 160-room mansion with 2,000 doors, all to confuse pursuing spirits. If you take a tour, bring your compass. Now, that's the tourism guide.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read about like her life, they're like, oh, she was told by a spiritualist in Boston named, I think it's Adam Coons, and to move out there. But there are records like of magazines of where mystics advertised at the time.
Mm-hmm.
No record of an Adam Coons. They're like, oh, they keep the bell on the property. You ring it to ward off evil spirits, and it's like, nope, that was used to call the workers to dinner, and in case there was a fire, they pulled the bell a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's designed to confuse spirits. Like, no, she just loved architecture and had stupid amounts of money, so she could say, what's the concept for a room that's like Greco-Roman, and she would build a staircase that went to nowhere. Because she was like, oh, it's just it's just a little plaything.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, she was told that if she stopped building it, she would die. And it's like, oh, she took 9 months off when family visited.
Mm-hmm.
How come she didn't die then? It's like, she was riddled with guilt. And it's like, nope, everyone in the Old West needed a rifle at the time because things were
It
crazy.
was the Old West,
Yeah, yeah.
And so like they have quotes from tour guides of like, I feel so bad having to say all this stuff about poor Miss Sarah.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
she's going to be the one haunting it now. It is. They're like, oh, she was obsessed with seances. They're like, she never went to a seance.
Well, you should hear about the house that Stephanie Glock built. Stephanie Glock?
Where's that?
She built a house
Yep.
because of her husband, David Glock.
Yep,
Yeah,
David
yeah.
Glock.
He invented a gun.
Yep, he sure did.
What about Sandra Claymore?
I don't know that many gun
Mines.
things.
Mines.
That's mine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is mine.
Jennifer Uzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uzi, that's good.
So yeah,
Susie Uzi.
I think, like, as I read these, I got so like cynical about like
yeah.
people like basically
The business of haunts.
yeah. If people are charging you admission, you're paying money and you want to be haunted. You're paying
Yeah.
for that experience.
Yeah, that's a
And so it's a
thing
confirmation
theme
bias.
park. It's an
Yeah.
attraction. Yeah.
And so it's really hard for me to say like, oh well, these houses are the proof that hauntings are real and true, and that Pocahontas stuff happened everywhere. But if they didn't charge admission, honestly, Alyssa's account where she wants to be haunted, but like all these things, that seems more likely to me than the Winchester house.
Yeah.
And I'm paying
Yeah.
$40 for a big architectural tour. Or
Yeah.
I'm paying $500 to stay in a house with no running water to see what things were like when people got murdered.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it's like I said, I feel conflicted about these type of business.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
very weird.
Yeah, I don't dig it. I have no interest to go to that like that house, the Vasilla house or
Yeah,
whatever.
the Vlaska, Valiska.
Vlaska,
I don't know which
yeah.
one it is, but
The Vlasic Pickle House. I
Yes.
don't want to go there
Yeah.
because, I don't believe in ghosts, but I also don't want to like tempt fate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same as
But B, I also have no interest going to the home where a horrible, grisly series of murders happened, and then thinking about it, and trying to put myself there,
yep.
Yeah.
and like that's the whole experience.
It's
I
like-
don't want to do that.
Nope.
It's tough. It's scary to me too.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's frightening.
Unfun.
Yeah. What would a haunted house about us be like?
What would it be like? Oh, hang on. We've got some more trick-or-treaters.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Oh,
Well, I
they're
already-
getting a little older now as the night goes on.
Oh, why?
You know, maybe Veronica Sars would have been better with
These
this
are the
group.
tweens. The tweens are here now.
What do we see? Who do you see?
I see children, and we'll hold this up here. And that costume, oh boy.
What is it?
Boy, oh boy.
What is
that
that?
costume is so strange.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's inappropriate. It's a child wearing no pants and a big red T-shirt, and on the back it says Diddy Kong, not that one, the other Diddy, and he's holding so many bottles of baby oil.
Yep.
Run along, scamp.
Who's waddling up?
Oh, they're waddling.
It's a small. It's a duck.
Oh,
This is a duck.
Okay.
Well, they have a long neck.
oh, okay.
What are they dressed as? Green hair,
Uh-huh.
stripes,
Oh no.
beetle goose.
You don't get candy. You don't get candy. You're bad. You go away.
That's a duck that learned how to trick or
I
treat.
fucked that duck.
Oh, wow. It's
Oh.
it's someone who, I mean, clearly they're here for me. They're dressed
Uh-huh.
as a hot dog, but they have, black hair coming down and an eyebrow ring. It's a corn dog, but corn is spelled with a K.
Come on, you can do one. You know how to do it?
I already did
I
one.
can teach you it.
Oh, you mean the corn thing? No, I'll just do the part where I'm upset because I was molested.
That's not funny.
You laughed. You
It was
idiot.
funny.
I got you. You know what I'm realizing though?
Yeah.
That first year when we started having the trick or treaters,
Yeah.
we didn't really think about the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it peaked with Low J.
It honestly, sadly, yes. Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah.
as well.
No.
Did you guys hear?
No.
Low J passed away.
I think my new peak, corn dog. I love that. That was
but
great.
Low J did pass.
I know.
Yeah.
He passed.
Yeah.
That's
The little, that little man.
I'm sure he's looking up at us wherever he is.
Yeah, looking up, sweating.
Listening to me do covers of corn songs.
That was great. Corn dog.
That was fun. That was fun.
So we did have a pretty creative idea for the main course of this episode.
The main course.
The main course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had the entree.
Yeah.
We had wait.
No, this is the entree.
Right, we had
the
the-
appetizers.
We had the appetizers.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we do have a main course. And I'm really excited for this.
I'm not.
And I will say this. Brad is really nervous about this.
Yes, I am.
I think that Ray is I think we're all going to have a good time.
Can I introduce this?
Yes.
Quickly?
Yeah, introduce it.
We had some fun talking about our own personal experiences with haunted houses.
Yes.
We put it out to the world at large, only in America. It talked about haunted houses all over this country.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But this all did really start with that silly episode that we did, Funbearable, creating a haunted house run by Funbearable.
Yeah.
But we wanted to dive a little deeper, and we wanted to create 3 extremely customized
Yes.
haunted houses
Yes.
Yep.
for each of us to experience. Not
Yes.
the Funbearable haunted house. No. But the Brad Rohr haunted house.
Yes.
The Charles Staton haunted house. The Raymond Harrington haunted house.
Yes.
Tailor-made specifically to scare us individually.
To horrify us.
Horrify, terrify,
Yeah.
all of the fies.
Yeah. Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Why you said
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
I was going to say 5G. So, in true Funbearable fashion, Ray and Brad came up with my haunted house that I don't know about. myself and Brad came up with Ray's haunted house that he doesn't know about, and myself and Ray came up with Brad's haunted house that he doesn't know about.
Right.
So tonight, we're going to tickle and delight your souls with the haunted houses for the Fun Boys.
Yeah.
So how do we want to start this?
Well, you made it clear that you wanted to end with my haunted house, which makes me worried, but fine, whatever.
You should be worried.
Okay.
Do you want to read the one for me, and then we'll read the one for Chai, and we'll just in order?
Sure.
All right.
Sure. All right, Bradley, I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited too.
I'm prepared to be spooked and scared.
So I really, I really want to express to you how tailor-made this is.
Okay.
Very tailor-made.
Okay.
Yep.
So think of this tale right now you're about to hear as a brochure to your personal haunted house.
Okay.
Now I know you are a fan, if you will, of Taskmaster.
Yes, very much so.
So you'll recognize a familiar element.
Oh, good.
You also put me through hell, telling me all the goings-on of the Saw franchise.
Yes, yeah, sure did.
So what if Alex Horn was Jigsaw? Is essentially where we're going.
Oh, it's Little Jiggy Saw.
And for people who don't know what Taskmaster is, it's a fun show where they have you do
tasks,
fairly simple tasks, and a lot of comedians and performers go on and they perform those tasks in funny ways, and they find cheats and ways to do it.
Yeah,
and
they get an envelope, they read the task, your time starts now, and then they have to do it. You know,
Yep.
yeah,
That's what
a
it's
lot of
like.
fun.
Yeah.
So, Brad, when you arrive at the haunted house, the terror begins before you even enter.
Hang on, I'm riding up on my horse.
At the front door, a sign boldly states, "No emotional support animals." So you'll have to leave Chuck at the entrance and face this terror alone. Chuck also is not privy to some of the sentences of this.
Me and Ray wrote this whole thing together,
Yep.
and then there's a bunch of parts that he's like, I have extra stuff that I'm going to do it live.
You tie Chuck up to the bench out front and leave some water for him. As you enter the house, you find yourself in a small entryway. There's a table with a "Hello, my name is Brad" name tag.
Yes.
A small envelope and an eerie Polaroid. You put on the name tag, as you squint at the Polaroid. Is that a newborn mouse with a birthmark? Does it have rabies? You look closer and then flip it over. On the back, "This is your penis," is scribbled in despair.
Yep.
You shriek and squeal like a newborn mouse with a birthmark from the shame. You make a mental note to book a rabies shot when and if you get out of here. A curtain parts to reveal your first horrific scene, a small social gathering of acquaintances and colleagues.
Stop.
You open the envelope you've been given. In it reads a card. You must break the ice and make small talk with 5 people here in order to escape this room. If you make more than 5 faux pas, you will be locked in here forever.
I'm immediately taking my own life. I'm Chuck at the post office.
Hours pass. You begin to make your first move. What starts as a weak attempt to compliment a woman on her hat eventually leads to a no-contact order.
Yep.
An innocent comment about the weather to a couple of improv friends ends with one of them throwing up in a trash can while the other holds their hair, screaming, "How could you say that?"
Yep.
You have a nice conversation with a woman until you unwittingly bring up her miscarriage. You try to salvage it with a King Solomon joke, but she hates it. Finally, after a few missteps, you manage it. The lights dim and a door opens across the room. The patrons of this gathering go silent and seem to freeze in place. Just as you get to the threshold to your next horror, you let out a nervous poot.
Yep, I do that.
As you step into the next room, a spotlight claps on. As your eyes adjust, you realize you're standing on a stage next to a line of children. A microphone in its stand slides in front of you, and a light snaps on to reveal 3 judges.
I know what this is.
Mr. Rohr, your word
Yep.
is saffron.
Yep.
You're in a spelling bee against 5th graders,
Yep.
and all of the words are spices and flavorful foods.
Yep.
The competition is brutal. Finally, after misspelling the spicy egg dish shakshuka, you lose to 5th grader Eli. He mocks you and the judges laugh.
Yeah, he hits the gritty on me.
Then blackout. The door across the room opens and you step through to find a replica of the Funbearable studio.
That is terrible.
2 mannequins stand in the middle of the room. It's Chuck and Ray. Out of small speakers in their mouths, you hear them arguing. A small envelope hangs from mannequin Chuck's shirt. You take it and open it. A small card reads, "Your fellow podcasters are fighting. To leave, all you have to do is pick a side."
No!
Days pass.
Yes.
Someone brings you only bread and water as you contemplate. The bread is the kind with lots of seeds and stuff, so you don't even eat it. You start to hate your captors, but it's no use. You must choose. Finally, you stand and yell, "I side with Chuck!" The speakers in the mannequins' mouths immediately stop and lights click on, shining on a doorknob you hadn't noticed before. There's another small note taped to the door. It reads, "The door was never locked.
Yeah.
It has always been open for you because you always side with Chuck."
Which he's never done on the podcast.
Not on it, behind it.
Yep.
Into the next room. A restaurant? How can this be? People sit at their tables talking like background actors. At a table in the middle of the room, a woman sits waiting across from an empty chair. You realize you might have to talk to her.
No.
You'd shit your pants if you'd had anything to eat but water this last 3 days.
It's still going to come out.
You sit at the table. The woman hands you a small envelope. Inside reads, "You must be starving. Order dinner at this tapas restaurant, and you can't remove or substitute items." You want to scream at this madness. A waiter approaches to take your order. He has to stop you from taking the butter knife and slitting your wrists. "I'll have the cactus tacos," you begin to weep.
It was an accident. I didn't know they were cactus tacos when I ordered them in real life 5 years ago.
Then you continued your order. "The Thanksgiving sandwich with cranberry sauce." You wet yourself. And finally, the chicken salad, egg salad, and seafood salad sliders. Your soul leaves your body and takes its own life.
Yeah.
But that's normal. Happens to you every couple of days.
That's true.
To anyone else, this would be a pleasant meal. It's hell on earth for you.
It's worse than that.
You start to chat with the woman sitting across from you at the table. She's full of life and generally easygoing.
Oh, boy.
She tells you about herself,
I
a
see.
kind of classic manic pixie dream girl. She likes to travel, try new things,
Yep.
stay out late,
Yep.
take every day as it comes, and
Gross.
lives life to the fullest.
Terrible.
This makes you sick.
It's worse than the sliders.
The only groove you need to get back in is the one in my... the only groove I need to get back in is the one in my couch.
Yes.
I've been gone for 4 hours, you think. I never leave the house this long. That groove is returning to factory condition as we speak.
It's not.
Who knows how this will affect my brittle spinal discs.
Yep.
They're like fine china at this point. They're expensive to repair, and I'm too frightened to use them.
That's great.
That is good, yeah. Also, like fine china, they were made in China, likely by small hands.
Yes.
The waiter clears your plate and hands you another small envelope. Inside it reads, "Excuse yourself to use the restroom without using any quaint colloquialisms."
Oh, no.
You stammer something about a toilet. You mumble something about urine. You stutter something about feces and stand to leave. Suddenly, TV screens all over the room begin playing a security camera tape of you making that nervous poot earlier. One of the other patrons stands. It's President William Howard Taft. He pinches his nose and waves his hand. Stinky.
You're Supreme Court Justice, former President Taft. Come
You've
on.
been ridiculed by a president. Humiliated. and not,
Shitty when you said that.
and not even one of the big presidents. A third stringer. You dash through the exit and bump right into a small podium. Another clack of stage lights, and you find yourself on a small stage. You look out into the crowd and see Brandon Sanderson? Is that Joe Abercrombie, author of the First Law trilogy?
Great.
All these fantasy authors that you love
Yep.
and other people think are made up? You look down at the podium. On it rests a small notebook. It can't be. No one knows about this. It is. Written on the cover in puff paint, Brad's secret dream journal. And in brackets below that, no Chucks allowed. And below that, for Chuck, see Brad's sex dream journal, volume 4 through 26. There's another small envelope. Inside it says, read your dream journal to this room full of authors you admire. You read. They're disgusted. Brent Weeks, author of the Lightbringer series, vomits.
Great series.
This madness has to end sometime. You start moving through the rooms faster now. Through the room where you're forced to listen to contemporary music. Ugh. Through the room where you're forced to read that sex dream journal to your parents. Past the room that's a department store dressing room and all you have to change into are brightly colored clothes. Past the room where your parents read their sex dream journals to you.
Heard 'em.
You linger there for a moment. Surely this must end. Door after door, nightmare after nightmare. The room full of hot dogs, but they have mayo on them. The room full of hot dogs, but they have mustard on them. The room full of hot dogs, but they moan sexually when you eat them. You actually kind of like this room. You plod on, certain that the end must be near. As you go, the rooms become more and more horrifying. The room where you have to take Ambien and then answer basic questions.
Oh, no.
The room where your Ambien is switched with "Y tu mama tambien," Spanish for...
Just the writing session. What rhymes with Ambien?
Then you'd be forced to experience a multicultural sexual awakening.
No, thank you. I don't even want a unicultural.
The room where you find out your love language is Velcro. That's my favorite one.
That's great.
The room where Chuck is 19 and you're a sentient desk and your face is exactly where you think it is.
No!
The room where no one is allowed to go to bed until 10 p.m.
Oh.
The room where your cat Rosie can talk and you find out she's a Holocaust denier.
Oh, Rosie!
Horror after horror confronts you until you start to lose the connection with reality. It all becomes a blur. You enter another room on the verge of collapse. You start to black out. The last thing you see is the governor of Rhode Island proudly declaring that all drivers must drive at least the speed limit. What am I, speed racer? You think to yourself as everything fades to black. Suddenly, you jolt awake. You're sitting at a desk. A familiar desk. And not Chuck's desk, thank God.
Yes.
No, this one hasn't seen unbridled joy before. This desk knows only despair.
Yep.
You look up and realize where you are. This can't be. Surely you've died and this is hell.
Yep.
But it's all there. The familiar desk, the computer,
Yep.
the staplers stuck in the wall. You're back at your old job. Your secretary enters the room, arms full of files, and trying to hold up her makeshift stapler shield she always carries at work. The dents and dings show it's been used a lot. Please don't strike me again, Mr. Rohr, she cries as she puts the stack of files on your desk. Every single student wants a new room assignment, and everyone has a specific need or issue.
Yep.
You scream. You scream and can't stop screaming. If you had hair, you'd be pulling it out. Mm-hmm. If you had any guts, you'd spill them. This is hell, and you're never going to escape. You reach for anything that you could end this with. In your drawer, you find a gun. You grab it, and it's slippery and warm. You put it to your head and pull the trigger, but the gun falls apart in your hand. It's made of hot dogs. A last cruel trick by who must be the devil. You sit down and sigh. You pull a file folder from the pile. Just as you begin to accept this hell, you open the folder to reveal not a housing request form, but another small envelope. You open it, and it simply reads, Boo. Suddenly a bang, and as you're plunged into darkness, horrible creaking and mechanical whining fills the room. You feel the room moving, then silence, a light, the shape of a door. You open it, and you're back at the entrance to the haunted house. Ooh. Chuck, still tied to the bench, practically shakes with excitement to see you.
Yeah, that's
He's
good.
peed a little bit already, and in his excitement lets go of the rest.
Yeah.
Normally, this would annoy you, but now, after the horrors you've been through, you're just happy to see him. You look at your watch. It's been only 9 minutes since you left him? You turn toward the haunted house, wanting to find someone in charge, to yell at them, to warn them, to thank them. But the house is gone. All that remains is an empty plot, a slightly damp impression in the grass where the house stood. Maybe it was all a dream. Or a bit of a bad hot dog? Not a real thing.
I was going to say no such thing.
Just when you're about to excuse the horrors you witnessed as just some bad dream, you feel something in your pocket. You pull it out. It's the Polaroid of your penis. The shock of it freezes you stiff and you faint on the spot like those goats that freeze and fall over. Mm-hmm. Chuck takes full advantage and begins humping your fear-stiffened leg. Mm-hmm. Guess it's a normal Halloween after all.
That's funny.
Oh, that was long.
That was great.
Love language is Velcro.
That was great.
Oh, that was fun. So do you feel adequately spooked and terrified?
That terrifies me. I was worried that the tapas restaurant, the horrifying part was just a first date.
Yeah.
But nope, it's tapas.
Yeah, and you have to eat it.
Yep.
You know, I think this is the first time we've done this, and you can see your breath.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
Well, I am ready to read The Haunted House for Chuck Staten.
I'm excited for this. Chuck, are you ready?
I'm very excited for this. And I just want to say for Brad's that we just read,
Yeah.
mostly Ray, so give a lot of credit to
That's
Ray.
great.
And there was a lot of moments that he kept from me that I didn't know about.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah,
were great.
absolutely.
They were excellent. Good job.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was
It
a lot
was.
of fun.
It was
We
very
always
fun.
we always enjoy doing these things that are cruel.
Oh, so cruel.
Oh, so cruel.
Chuck pulled into the parking lot of the haunted house and checked the clock. Perfectly on time, just 45 minutes after he, Ray, and Brad had agreed to meet. He got out of the car and looked for someone to buy a ticket from. He was already a bit spooked at the idea of interacting with an innocent employee just doing their job. They disgusted him so much. But there was no one around. That huge Victorian mansion loomed overhead, radiating with a sense of evil. Chuck felt a stirring in his loins. He winced slightly. The stirring stinged his already self-chafed loins.
So chafed.
Chuck pushed open the front door and found himself in a grand foyer. "Hello, I'm a customer. Come serve me,"
That's funny.
he yelled, as he always did when entering any store or restaurants.
I don't like this.
Serve me.
"Anyone here? I have a girlfriend," he yelled. He found it customary to bring this up as much as possible because he had a girlfriend and she was real and not imaginary. The door slammed shut behind him, startling him, forcing a few drops of pee through his already stirred loins. At least, he hoped it was just pee. After all, he was a nervous jizzer, and he'd already startled jizzed on the way here when he made eye contact with another man at a red light. Ignoring the shame of his immediate fear of anyone confronting him, he took in his surroundings. He looked at the floor, and it was covered with blood. Relatively fresh blood. "Geez," he exclaimed. "What is this, a period convention?" He cackled to himself. He was funny. So funny. The funniest. But then his smile dropped. There was no way to walk through the blood without getting it on his high tops. Ugh. These kicks cost more than a week of pay for these low-wage scare slaves. Using his noodle, the slang term for brain, not the slang term for loins, which he called little noodle, Chuck wrenched a painting off the wall. Was there a curse attached to this painting? Maybe. But Chuck tossed it carelessly on the floor and used it as a bridge to cross the bloody floor. He began to gingerly walk across... Thankful he wouldn't get blood on his pants because his pants were cargo shorts. Chuck wore them year-round because everyone knew they were the coolest shorts in the world. Suddenly, movement caught Chuck's eye and he yelped and peed a little bit more. Phew. It was just a mirror. How could a mirror be scary, he thought. Mirrors showed him his favorite thing in the world. He sighed in relief, then winked to his reflection. "You and me again, old chum." Old sexy chum. He paused to quickly chafe his loins again. But in his post-nut clarity, he realized his hair was kind of messed up.
Dun, dun, dun.
"No!" Chuck shrieked into the night. "All my product is in the car." His entire hair routine was in a large Tupperware tub in the back seat. He stomped and huffed and puffed and chafed. This is the worst thing to happen to anyone anywhere ever in the world. Even Jesus herself didn't have to suffer like this.
Jesus herself entertained me for days. That's funny.
Chuck scanned the room in a panic. A hat rack. He was saved. Surely no one would miss one of these hats. Were there curses attached to all of these hats? Maybe, but Chuck tossed one carelessly on his head and used it as a shield to hide the world from his B-plus hair that night. Chuck carefully scooted and chafed his way across the bloody floor, his new, maybe cursed hat resting on his hair, which bobbed 3 inches above his actual noggin. He made his way through to another room. This next room must have been the dining room for the old house. In this case, it was a fully operational Dunkin'? Chuck was so pleasantly surprised that he did a quick nervous jizz just to be safe. Now, to get my perfect fall drink, he said to himself. And great job handling that bloody situation back there, if I do say so myself. 10 out of 10, minus a little fear peeing. Then he did a Sum 41 guitar riff with his mouth. Anything but silence for this boy. As Chuck approached the counter to order his usual coffee, a child's milkshake and a hollowed-out pumpkin, he noticed something. If that barista, and I'm using that term liberally, was an older man, and that barista was an older man, and the third barista was an older man, who could possibly get his order right?
Yeah.
It is a truth universally acknowledged that the only competent coffee makers are young women, working a shift and thus required to engage in friendly conversation where they had to be nice. Chuck saw women behind counters like the goat tied to a stake at the beginning of Jurassic Park.
That's really good.
But this was a nightmare. Who would get his order right? Who would laugh at his joke about how his name rhymed with fuck? Who would he stare at for too long while waiting for his order? Who would he later look up on Instagram and take screenshots of? Who would Chuck spend the next 3 to 5 years following home at night? Hi, Chuck said. Without thinking, he looked down at the barista's chest, like he always did when he ordered coffee. I'd like a large fall splasher with extra cold foam and cookie crumbles, an entire caramel pumpkin drizzle, and an entire Snickers bar in it. Oh, and oat milk. Chuck was on a liquid diet, and this totally counted. Chuck tapped his credit card to pay, then immediately lost that credit card. This was scary enough, but then the horror rose in him. The payment screen asked how much he wanted to tip. He frantically looked for a 0 button, a nothing button, a nada button, a no way in hell you should tip me button. But no, it only gave the option of a 10, 15, or 20% tip. What is this, a charity shop? He quickly canceled payment and paid cash with exact change. Nice try, barista. The male barista, if that even was a thing, handed Chuck his drink, and Chuck took a sip. Yipes in the pipes. The foam froze Chuck's facial hair, all of it, even the parts he drew on with a makeup pencil.
I've done that.
I knew it! Men making coffee, yuck! Is this drink cursed? Chuck cried.
I really feel this way.
Why do all the worst things in the world always happen to me, an innocent boy?
I feel that way too.
That seals it, he thought. Tonight I'm starting that GoFundMe for all my hardships. You said you wanted the foam to be extra cold, the barista said in a dead, monotone voice sounding like locusts eating human flesh. But Chuck didn't notice the ominous tone. He was too busy looking for a sign with a number to corporate to have yet another service worker fired. I wanted the temperature of the foam to be cold, sure, but I wanted an extra amount of it, Chuck whined and wheedled and chafed. I guess now I should just kill myself, he shouted in a strange sort of whine roar. Not quite impotent rage, but more of a premature ejaculation rage. But the just barista turned away, not giving Chuck the attention he so desperately craved. A slight misunderstanding about a coffee order? This truly was Chuck's worst nightmare come to life. This was suffering on a level no person should have to suffer. POWs would weep to hear this tale that Chuck definitely planned on telling to the next veteran he met. Bravely sipping his coffee despite its incorrectness, Chuck headed up the stairs across from him. He really was a hero. He made a note to salute himself in the next lucky mirror he saw.
Lucky mirror. Yeah, that's good.
At the top of the stairs, he was shaken out of his self-reverie by a voice. "Hi," a hot babe said. She was sitting on a sofa in an otherwise empty room. "I'm Ava. What's your name?" "Hi, I'm Chuck," he said, and then cutting her off. "I know the Impractical Jokers and also Drew Barrymore that one day. You know Taylor Swift? I'm basically neighbors with her." Tee-hee, the babe giggled. "I'd like to get to know you better. Maybe you could add me on Instagram?" "Already done," Chuck said, holding up his phone. I hope it's not too weird, but I did a search involving posts at this location and scrolled through all of them to see if you had posted anything, but didn't find you. Then I looked for followers of this haunted house and didn't find you, but I did find a person who went to the same school as someone else who was friends with you. It's not weird." "It sure isn't," she smiled back. "Say, would you want to come to my birthday party in 3 days?" "I'd love to," Chuck squeaked. The squeak came not from his mouth, but his severely chafed loins. He hoped she didn't notice the sound or the smell. "That's so cool," she beamed. "I can't wait to turn 18. I was cursed by a witch to perpetually be 17 years and 362 days old. The witch said the only way to break the curse would be for a real man to do stuff with me. Do you want to do some mouth stuff with me?" 17, Chuck said. "I can't. I wouldn't. I mean, it's illegal and for some immoral. But I also have a girlfriend and she's definitely real and definitely exists. Besides, I respect the law and witches." And he backed out of the room, fighting back tears and nervous jizzes. He paused only long enough to screenshot a couple of Instagram posts. Chuck fled down the hall, terrified beyond repair. He burst through a random door and to his shocking surprise found his family there. They all sat in rows and faced the doorway with smiles on their faces and bags of popcorn in their laps. "My family, thank goodness," Chuck exclaimed. "You can't possibly imagine what I've been through tonight." "It's okay," his mom said. "You got here just in time for the presentation." "What presentation?" Chuck asked. The lights went down. A disembodied voice came out of the walls. "Welcome, Chuck's family. We now begin tonight's presentation. A reading of all the files Chuck has downloaded through BitTorrent. All of them. Number 1, Abby's All Anal Adventure. Number 2, Abby's All Anal Adventure 2. Number 3, Abby's All Anal Adventure 3, Season of the Itch."
That's a great joke.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Chuck smashed screaming through the door and down the hall, the disembodied voice growing fainter and fainter. Abby's Anal Adventure 4, Abby's Revenge. Arthur, the PBS cartoon complete series. Ass Master, Ass Apprentice. Babe, Pig in a Titty. He sprinted pell-mell through the house, dashed past the room of ungraded pants, slid through the chamber of Reddit comments, didn't even open the door for the room labeled Basic Vehicle Owner Paperwork. He ran through the house like Shelley Duvall in The Shining, but if Shelley was the one in the dog costume blowing that old man. He scrambled past a bathroom that had an alligator taking a shower. He was right about them. He came upon an open door into a dark room. He stepped inside, hoping to hide from these horrors for a moment. Suddenly, a projector whirred to life and light filled the room. It was a movie theater. Finally, a room he could enjoy. Chuck took his seat with a slight squish from his sopping cargo shorts. But the film began and it was a drama? And what's this? Subtitles? It's not even in English? He would have to read the movie? Where was the IP? What if the themes were complex? What if he had to experience a different worldview? Why were foreigners even allowed to make movies? Chuck felt like he was going mad. He knocked his popcorn to the floor and tipped his soda. Not out of fear, but out of habit. That's just what you do. They get paid to clean it up. Chuck stormed out of the theater and found himself in another room. Wow, a room full of people applauding him. This wouldn't be too bad. "Hi, yes, it's me, Chuck Staten," he said with a jaunty wave. "Perhaps you heard about me through my definitely real girlfriend." The people continued to clap and cheer in the same way, on repeat. Odd smiles and stiff, robotic movements. Almost like they were all animatronics. Chuck screeched out of the room just like his hero, Screech. This was too much. This was hell. He had to escape. Finally, Chuck burst through the back door. He had made it. Escape the haunted house and all its horrific things like normal behavior and consequences for your actions. He sighed in chafed relief. He was safe. Sure, he was on the back side of the house facing the woods, and he simply had to walk around the house in normal levels of darkness to get back to his car. Any average person wouldn't be scared of this. Besides, he could just do an Instagram Live and let strangers watch over him like he had before. For real, he did this before many times. As Chuck reached to get his phone from one of his many cargo pockets, he realized his pocket was gone. In fact, his whole outfit had been transformed. His clothes had become meat. The cursed hat paid off. He looked back in the house to see the cursed 17-year-old girl advancing toward him. As Chuck watched, she began the transformation. Her face and body twisted and spun mechanically to reveal the animatronic she really was. And now she was transforming into a wolf, a big, hungry, underage wolf. She fell to all fours and started loping towards him, growling the entire time, the bass rattling Chuck's bones to motion. He set off through the woods wearing a suit of meat, being chased by a psychosexual predator. Finally, the hunter had become the hunted. The sex predator had become the sex prey. It's what he'd always feared, what he'd always wanted. Finally, something worth chafing for. And Halloween would never be the same.
Oh, that was great. Good job, guys.
So much chafing.
That was funny. That was very good. That was very funny. The idea of the callback to chafing like that is very good. That was really funny. I like that a lot.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Fun.
Great job.
Well, I really enjoyed working on the stuff for that. I guess that'll do it for us on Funbearable.
So we're going to close with Ray's Haunted House. Let me just explain. We stumbled upon this direction, right? Brad and I. And we went with it whole hog. And Brad thinks that this is going to upset you and annoy you.
Okay.
And I think you're going to think this is funny.
I don't know what this is. All I know is that, Brad seemed very apprehensive about it.
And it's more of a story. It's more of a story of you experiencing your version of a haunted house.
Sure.
I mean, I think at most, maybe there could be a bleep or two. And I think I would be really surprised if Ray was unhappy.
We'll see.
We'll have to see.
A bleep or two. All right.
A bleep or two.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Sure. I feel a little fucking good.
I know. A jarring alarm clock burst to life on the nightstand. Ray wakes at 2:45 a.m. in a cold sweat. It was always hard to sleep the night before a cruise.
Oh, no.
I'm
scared already.
He collected his belongings from the nightstand, a wallet, keys, and gum. I already miss my family, Ray thought on his way to the ship. Ray was told by his entertainment coordinator he needed to be on the ship at 3:15 a.m. sharp. He was exhausted and he just wanted to get in his bed on the ship. He walked on and talked to the woman at the front desk. "Hello, I'm Ray Harrington. I'm a performer," he said. She responded, "Okay, so it looks like your room will be ready around 8:45 a.m., if we can get to it." Ray was dumbfounded. I slept for 2 hours to get here by 3:15, and now I have to wait 5 more to get into my room? Deep down, he knew it was hopeless. "You can wait in the lobby." That was fine with Ray. The lobby was already where he planned to park his pork. He thought, "I just need a place to park my pork. My pork is so sore and rashy." He was right. His pork was red, splotchy, and cracked. He had a discharge oozing from his pork that he knew had to be dealt with when he got back. But for now, getting his pork in a nice, cozy chair would have to do. Ray slithered down the hall to the lobby. He opened the door. It was cramped. It stunk. But there was a nice big recliner, a place for Ray to park his pork. The only perk of this port. As soon as Ray hunkered down, the door opened. Another man walked in, mumbling to himself angrily. "I can't believe my room won't be ready for 5 hours," Ray overheard. Ray waved to the man, then pointed to himself. "Same boat," Ray said. Then his sly wit began to emerge again. He smiled wide and said, "Literally." Ray mentally high-fived himself. The man burst out laughing. "Wow, that was great. You really brightened my day after some unfortunate news. What are you, a comedian or something?" Ray pretended to be bashful, but did say, "Well, I don't like to advertise it, but..." And he nodded at the man. The man's eyes lit up. "Wait a minute, I recognize you. You're Ray Harrington." Ray pretended to cuff himself in an over-the-top act-out. He pretended to throw himself into a police car, pretended to be fingerprinted at the station, pretended to be wheeled into court like Hannibal Lecter, and then became the judge in the scene, all just to turn to the man and say, "Guilty as charged." My name's Jojo, and you're Ray, right? Says the man. I am, Ray said. Just happy to have a new friend to talk to while he's stuck on the boat.
Jojo.
Jojo immediately changes tone. You know, I've always wanted to be a comedian. What do you think about running bits until we have to get to our rooms? Ray immediately realizes maybe he had jumped the gun on feeling relieved. He was hopeful he could reroute the conversation. You know, I'm pretty tired. We can chat, but I'm not interested in running bits or doing work right now. I just want to relax, he said, letting the man down gently. Ray, you can be honest with me, Jojo says. Writer's block is a tough thing to deal with. Maybe I'll just do my favorite bits for you, and we'll see if you can get inspired. The onslaught begins. Room 1, the comedy fan from hell.
Yeah, I love it.
Well-
That's when it would like come up.
It's a title card.
Yeah, like
it's black with white.
Exactly, bold letters,
Yes.
and it goes like.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love it.
Jojo launched into questions. Do you know that one comedian? He has a bit about relationships. Ray was lost. No, he has
I've
another.
had this conversation before.
No, he has another bit that's pretty well known. I think he mentions his parents in it. Ray stared blankly. He's got another one that's about a dog or a cat or a person or something hilarious. Ray tried to speak but was interrupted. Oh, wait, I remembered his name. Jeff Dunham. It was going to be a long night. The clock ticked slowly. Hey, you have a bit about a hot air balloon, right? I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but can I tell you how I would do it? Before Ray could respond, the man jumped up using his phone as a prop mic. I'm not saying you have to use these, but if I was a comedian, this is the way I would handle it in my voice. So I looked up at that giant bulbous sack of hot air and I said, "What is this, my wife?" Oh, and you have that bit about hamsters. So I looked down at this chubby ball of fur with buck teeth sticking out of it and I said, "How do you fit her in that cage?" Talking, of course, about my wife. Oh, and you do that big closing joke about Jabba the Hutt. So I was bargaining with this fat, fleshy, slime-covered slug from outer space, and I said, Ray tried to change the subject. Yeah. Listen, I really appreciate it. Can we just talk as people? Why don't you tell me about your wife? Jojo replied quickly, "Oh, I'm gay." I didn't know if that would land, but I thought that was
That would actually change the whole night for me. I'd be like, "Oh, this is fascinating."
No.
The clock ticked on. We cut back to Jojo and Ray. Ray is sitting back in his chair. Jojo's across from him, leaning in. They're nose to nose. So have you met Adam Sandler? No. Do you have a tour bus? No. What's your favorite bit ever? Ever? That's a little hard to choose. What do you think about black people and N-words? The Chris Rock bit? What Chris Rock bit?
So far, this is disturbing because it's too real.
So have you been on late night television? Conan Daily? No, that's Carson. You were on Carson? Wow. No, Conan. Oh, Conan. I love his carpool karaoke. That's Corden. No, it's carpool. They're literally in a car. Ray and JoJo did this maddening wordplay bit deep into the night. But finally, it was 8:45. As Ray was called to the front desk, he rubbed his tired eyes but felt at ease, relieved to get away from JoJo. JoJo exclaimed, "All right, I'll DM you later." Ray waved and pretended not to hear him. Finally, he could lay down. The lady at the desk gave him his room key. It was shaped like a choo-choo train? Ray looked at the key and back at the lady. So the only room we have available right now is usually for different entertainers. If it's not to your liking, we can get you a different room, but that'll be sometime after dinner. Ray asked, "What kind of entertainer is this room usually for?" The lady responded, "Well, once in a while we do theater on the ship. This is for the child entertainers." We hard cut to the room 2. The lodging from hell.
Oh,
We hard cut to the door opening to Ray's room. Normally, the rooms on a cruise ship are about 60% as large as they should be to accommodate a normal adult. This room kept up that ratio, but was built for an 8-year-old boy. To get into the room, Ray has to walk like Quasimodo, as opposed to just looking like him.
wait a minute. Hold on. Huzzah. Are you saying that it's for child entertainers, meaning entertainers who are children?
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I thought you meant like.
People who entertain children.
No,
yeah.
it was built for an 8-year-old boy.
Yep.
Okay.
The shower head is barely above his knees. The desk was labeled Polly Pocket, and the stool was one of those pizza saver things. His pillow was a Sweet and Low packet. The room is small and smells like an old circus tent. The
This
water.
is all pretty close to what it does feel like to just be on that ship. Yeah.
Oh, I know. The water in the bathroom is cold and salty. The mint on his pillow was actually a bed bug. Still an improvement for Ray. The Gideon's Bible in the nightstand is just a postage stamp. The light bulb in the ceiling is one Christmas light, and it's broken, flickering something evil in Morse code. There's a grinding noise that shakes the room for about 10 seconds every minute. The other 50 seconds are filled with a high-pitched shrieking, like a harpy being tortured by a dolphin. But Ray needs his rest. So as he's hunched down, he shimmies the bureau against the front of the bed and jams his suitcase behind it. With the added length, he can fit almost his entire body onto it, minus his limbs, which dangle off the side like the final remnants of his sanity. After a sleepless night, Ray gets up to get breakfast. As the cruise commences, Ray can't help but feel seen. People recognize him. Ray thought to himself, well, there are advertisements for the entertainment, so I guess it makes sense that so many people are seeing me and recognizing me. But the level of attention seems high, suspiciously high. Suddenly, over the loudspeaker, we hear an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. I just wanted you to know that today we have a very special guest aboard the ship. My number one favorite comedian of all time, Ray Harrington. Oh, no. Ray suddenly feels his face get hot. This is a lot. Too much. Hopefully people around him won't notice that he's the person the captain's talking about. You're not going to miss him. I mean, he is, as he always says, 6'7" and morbidly obese. Fuck, Ray thinks. It didn't help that he was standing in a doorway with one of those measurement things on the door frame that they normally have in convenience stores. Seems a little strange to have it on a ship where you'd think shoplifting isn't much of a problem, but either way, this odd happenstance is affecting him negatively. The people around him start to notice. Are you Ray? Oh, yeah. I remember that guy. Hey, Ray, can I have a picture? Weren't you on Court and Karaoke? Ray smiles sheepishly and thinks to himself, well, I guess I have to live in my room until we get off this boat, as he heads back to his child-sized quarters. The people are still clamoring behind him. I heard he's so funny. Doesn't he have that Reese's peanut butter cup joke? His diary entries are so interesting. Wait, what? Did he hear that right? No, just some weirdo talking about something else. Couldn't be. Ray continues to walk. The captain comes on again. I've been informed that maybe I shouldn't have called so much attention to our star passenger, 6'7" comic genius Ray Harrington. Ray rolls his eyes. This is hell. I want to encourage everyone to let Ray have some time to himself. If you see him, please, only ask for a picture, have a 20-minute chat, get another picture just in case, have him record a video for your favorite relative, but then leave him alone. Ray was beyond annoyed. Plus, you can enjoy the Museum of Ray instead of bothering him. Okay, he definitely heard that right. I've been a fan of Ray forever, and I mean forever. I've been collecting and preserving any and everything about Ray Harrington for decades. When I found out he'd be on my ship today, I thought it'd be fun to break out my collection. Ray stopped in his tracks. What the fuck does this guy mean? People have begun to gather around him. In any room or hallway or children's crew quarters, there will be something written by Ray, printed out, framed, and dated for your pleasure. Enjoy a cruise inside the mind of Ray. Ray was in disbelief.
This is horrifying, but for different reasons, I think, you know?
This guy has transcribed my bits? I don't like that. I don't know how they come off without my expert inflection or my exhausted stage persona. People were watching Ray now, smiling kindly, happy to be around someone their captain thought was a very important person. Ray was curious. His eyes darted around. A few feet in front of him, he saw it. A frame. He couldn't make out the words from this angle, but as he slowly approached it, his cadre of followers moved with him. It didn't look like a comedy bit. He read it out loud. So life can be summarized. This isn't right, he thought. I don't think I said this or wrote this, he continued. While looking through a friend's diary, I suddenly felt the self-absorbed desire to create my own. The idea seems normal enough. Document my life at college. I've already had a few new experiences, so I'm left with the day-to-day stuff now. Well, let's just hope, eh? I mean, maybe my life is interesting to not only myself, but others as well. Doubtful. Either way, here's life. The date said October 12th, 2003. Attributed to the website. Written by the username. Oh my fucking God.
And now we get to the part that's some personal stuff. I love it. So, do you want me to tell people what that is, or
the mainstream version was the mainstream version?
If it makes you feel better, I completely forgot the name of that thing. I just have a vague memory of doing that my freshman year, and it was. I'm embarrassed by the idea of it, and so this will be real cool and fun and cool. Real fun and cool. And
Well,
fun.
he hasn't punched us yet, which surprises me.
Good. This will be good. So for the viewer listener, that whatever the website it is, I don't even remember what it is. It's a like an online journal kind of thing that a friend was doing, and then I decided to do it. And freshman year is the year. I think I've told you guys this personally. That freshman year was the year like I went from like I was a person I did not like myself when I before I went to college, and like freshman year was like when I got to a place where I was like, oh, I do like myself. You know what I mean? I changed a lot, and in that came the very like cliche. Let me pour it all out.
Yes.
Oh, we know.
Put it all out.
We
there.
know
it's,
that.
It's emo Ray.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
emo
very
Ray.
emo Ray. So now what's happening, viewer listeners, I believe they've used this cruise ship structure to now read to you things that I wrote when I was fucking 19 or something. I didn't think it would be on a podcast when I wrote it because a podcast didn't exist then, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. I mean, you know what? Whatever. I'm an open book. Let's continue on.
Attributed to the website. Written by the username. Oh my fucking God. The mainstream version of mydiary.org was known as LiveJournal. This was decades ago. 21 years ago to be exact. The captain printed out my diary entries from when I was in college. This can't be real. This cannot be happening to me right now. This is room 3, the ship from hell. There was a guest door that was slightly open. He burst in and looked around. Finally, he found another frame. Fuck this online diary. It's just a way to brag about myself. Fuck this dorm room. It's small and will get smaller when I get a roommate. Fuck the people that said I wouldn't make it. I did. Fuck the people that said I would make it. I didn't.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So it's so fucking good, isn't it? It's so good.
It's so freshman year in college.
Yeah, absolutely.
Signed, Ray Harrington, October 17th, 2003. Ray was in disbelief. Was this his worst nightmare? How could this have happened? After paying $27 for 1 hour of Wi-Fi on the ship and a quick Google, he realized that had a monstrous gap in their security system, which
Quick
locked
Google, it wouldn't happen on the ship. It would be very slow Google.
which locked people out of their accounts and gave them no ability to get back in. Ray's real words from 2003 will forever stain the internet with the ghost of his cringiest self. And now those words are plastered all over a cruise ship that he has to live on for the next 96 hours. This was Ray's most embarrassing moment, and he was trapped inside it. He immediately grabbed both plaques, ran to the side of the boat, and threw them into the ocean. He thought about jumping, but he remembered his son Finn. What if Finn takes this cruise someday? I got to destroy every plaque I find.
Yeah.
Ray had a mission. He would find every single instance of his documented pretension and destroy it. He ran into a room and scanned the wall. November 8th, 2003. I'm in college now and learning some interesting things. But what about me? What am I learning about myself? After all, college is where you grow. Well, I've learned a few things about myself already. I've learned I'm actually a better person than I thought I was, and I can recognize more of my flaws. Ugh! Ray rips it off the wall and flings it like a frisbee off the side of the ship.
So far, I'm feeling fine. I recognize who this is, and
Gets worse.
you know, I feel for that kid, and yep, can't wait,
All right.
can't wait. I have no fucking memory of anything I wrote on that thing. Go ahead, please.
He thought to himself, all right, this is a bad situation, but I just have to bite the bullet. I need to find all the plaques on the ship and get rid of them. I didn't write that many entries, right? If they're on paper on the wall, I can get rid of them. Ray turns back from the railing. There's a gigantic painted entry on the bow of the ship. He looks up. It has to be 40 feet tall. November 12th, 2003. Friend equation. The friends you make on your path in life will all be different. Some will be the greatest things you have. Others will be the worst choices you make. Some will drag you down and spit in your face. And then a list. Karen, Greg, John, Ben, Troy, LaToya, Chris. He stopped himself from reliving the past for a second to realize, wait, I can't get rid of this. It's painted on. He thought things were bad, but things were so much worse than he expected.
To clarify, I do remember that one. That list is actually the ones that's like stuck, the good ones.
Oh, that's
it was
good.
a positive thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
He ran back into
And yes, there was a LaToya.
He ran back into the main room of the ship where they do the breakfast buffet. He looked up. Sure enough, engraved into the skylight. December 12th, 2003. 5 weeks. I will be gone for a while. No more writing for a while. I will miss it. But I look forward to a break. I thought I would take a second to break things down, sort of a look back on the semester. This will be one of the only times I actually name names.
What?
Ashley H. As Ray lamented the situation, unsure of what to do, he heard the PA click on again. It was the captain. Attention passengers, I have received word that the tattoo parlor is now open on board. I'm planning on getting my favorite diary entry from Ray Harrington tattooed into my supple flesh. If anyone would like to come and get their own tattoos of Ray's adolescent words permanently etched into their skin, come on down. I'll be there in 10 minutes on Deck B. That was the key, Ray thought. The captain is the source of this madness. I could just go to Deck B and talk him out of this. Ray looked up at the map on the wall. He was on Deck Z. He paused for a second before shouting, "Does anyone have a Segway?" No answers. With a deep, phlegmy sigh, he started up the stairs. Sometime later, Ray lumbered and shambled through the ship's corridors on Deck B. "Where's the tattoo parlor?" he shouted, grabbing a child by the lapels and shaking it. The child barfed. Ray tossed the child aside like a used coffee cup and looked up. The tattoo parlor! Ray entered and saw an older man face down on the tattoo table getting a full back tattoo. I wonder if this is the captain, Ray thought. Let me look at what the tattoo says.
So stupid.
March 24th, 2004. When we were kids, everything was black and white.
Uh-huh.
But as we got older, everything started to fade into gray. The ideas we held as children crumble into reality. At first, we believed that good is good and bad is bad. That is all. Never anything in between. We knew in our hearts that we were safe and our parents would never let anything happen to us.
I wasn't writing in that voice.
That no matter what horrible thing... Captain! Ray screeched. It's me, Ray Harrington. Who? The captain said? Ray Harrington, the comedian, the one you're obsessed with. Oh, how do you do? Welcome aboard. Bon voyage. Avast the mainsail. Captain, you gotta help me. I can't have my old diaries and my old diary entries plastered all over the ship. I have to do a show for these people, and they're seeing me in the light that was never intended for an audience. Specifically this audience. Specifically in 2024, 20 years after it was posted online for a much smaller audience.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I'm a completely different person now. I've grown up. To be frank, I'm embarrassed about those things. This is humiliating. Aren't you different from who you were 20 years ago? The captain paused, then pulled out his phone. He went to and pulled out his old username, Big Captain Ahab 3, and read his entry from 20 years before. I hate the sea. I hate ships, and I'll never be a captain, no matter what my dad says. My heart belongs to the land, and I'll never share it with Davy Jones, no matter what he tells me he's got in his locker. Huh, the captain said. That's just what I was feeling at the time. That wasn't meant to be broadcast to the world. Ray felt relieved. Exactly! Now the audience doesn't look at me as a comic on the stage. They look at me as a weak, wheedling, whinging, relentlessly pretentious college student. And I'm not a college student anymore. Oh, Ray, I'm sorry. I took my fandom too seriously and it hurt you. The code of the sea says I have to make it up to you. Just then, the entertainment coordinator ducked into the room. Ray, we need you in the auditorium ASAP. The opener isn't going to fill their time, and we need you up there a little sooner.
Oh, you sweet, ignorant man. There is no opener on a cruise ship. You go up cold, and you do 45 minutes.
Sure, no problem, Ray said, looking at his watch, wondering how the hell he'd be able to get through this set. Great. We'll see you in the auditorium on Deck Y. Sorry, the elevators are out. Ray paused for a second before shrieking, "Does anyone have any roller skates?" Cut 2. Ray in the green room with the captain. Another framed quote from his decades younger self was framed next to the door. Paradise is always described through the eyes of a child.
I don't like the voice.
If Peter Pan grew up, he'd hate himself.
Oh, fuck. Now you're embarrassing me. Yeah,
Ray rolled his eyes.
Gets
How am I
worse.
going to face these people? I didn't even read all my diary entries. Who knows what I said? Who knows what they read? I'm going to be up there looking like an idiot. The captain slapped him hard. Ray looked back confused. The captain spoke slowly.
Spoke slowly? Oh my God, how embarrassing.
Ray, you're my favorite entertainer of all time. I know you have the ability to get through this. I know that you're a consummate professional and that you can take this situation and spin it into comedy. You can get people to relate to the follies of youth and your growth. I know you can. The captain reached into his jacket and pulled out a golden compass. My grandpappy gave this to me 47 years ago. It doesn't matter where it points, but wearing it in my breast pocket reminds me to follow my heart. And tonight I'm passing this on to you. You follow that big old Ray Harrington heart out there, and I know you're going to win these people over. Ray thought for a second. Sea captain was right. People do things they regret later. People grow. And if there was anyone who could communicate this universal aspect of being human, it was Ray. It'd be a tough show to start, but he could get the people on his side and laughing. He knew he could. He took the compass and put it in his pocket. He knew the captain had made a mistake, but it came from love. Thank you, Captain. Ray was weeping. I will go out there and fuck this puppy up. Ray felt the confidence and put one foot on the stage. The captain grabbed his shoulder and turned him around. One last thing. I just want to give you a heads up. There are some VIP guests in the front row, maybe looking to book you for future work. VIP guests, too. The captain stopped to think. Well, there's Conan O'Brien searching for a new Andy Richter, Greg and Alex from Taxmaster scouting talent for a future cast, and the kids in the hall searching for a new kid for their hall. I know they all have a few people in mind for the spots, and from what I hear, you're in the lead by quite a bit. All you have to do is put on a solid show, and all your comedy dreams will come true. Ray stammered.
My dream is to be a sidekick. What the fuck?
Ray stammered, and they all saw the diary entries all over the ship. The captain looked down. They've all been here for a week. Room 4, the gig from hell. Ray's eyes went dead. Before Ray could process this bombshell, the captain shoved him out on stage. The crowd applauded and snickered, and then it died down. He heard whispers from the crowd. What were they saying? How can I stop crossing the line? I really don't know. I mean, I find it all funny. That's how I am. Not to be mean or cruel or uncaring. I just have this ability to find everything humorous. It's good and bad, I guess, but I can't stop it. I can just deal with the consequences. One of Ray's diary entries was carved in wood across the top of the stage, and someone in the audience was reading it. Ray looked down to see his comedy heroes looking up at him. And it happened. For the first time ever, Ray froze. The overfed, entitled hoi polloi of the crew's audience was one thing. He could win them over.
Oh, I thought you were referring to me for a second.
But comedy legends like Conan, Greg, Alex, the kids, the hall, they'd see through him in a second. He couldn't take the pressure of the whole goddamn day. He was at his breaking point. Ray couldn't remember how any of his jokes started. He was so tired that he didn't even remember to say, I'm so tired.
That's funny.
The sea captain could see it in his eyes. Oh, no, he's choking, and it's all my fault. My comedy hero. I've got to do something to make this right. He scrambled away, looking for the sound booth. Ray looked down at Conan, who gave him a hesitant thumbs up. Dave Foley mouthed, I believe in you. You know what? Maybe Ray could do this. If anyone could pull this off, it was Ray. He took a deep breath, took a beat, and got ready to start the set that would change his life. As soon as he opened his mouth, a song started playing over the PA. Not just any song, but a song Ray recognized. For a second, he was confused. Then his face dropped. His eyes widened. Oh no. You see, Ray started his comedy career a long time ago in an acoustic duo called Travesty in Training. Playing on the loudspeaker was a song they'd written. A song Ray had written. A song about Ray's relationship with a special lady.
No, I held the notebook while someone else wrote the words in it.
Emphasis on the word special. Do you know what song was playing, Ray?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what song was playing.
It's funny because we don't know the name of the song, but we know it exists. We really don't know the name of the song. This was a song from Ray's past that he was not proud of. It wasn't reflective of the comedian Ray is today. He had grown and matured as a comedian. The song was the equivalent of, oh, I don't know, writing a Christmas parody song where the joke is ridiculing homeless people over and over again. Sure, it may have had a lot of clever punchlines. It is well written from a technical standpoint, but sometimes the subject matter can be too offensive for even the funniest of cruel and crude songs. This wasn't who Ray was. Having this song play in front of 15,000 people, including his comedy heroes, was possibly the worst thing that could happen right now.
We played it live on the radio multiple times.
Really?
Yes.
Oh!
Yeah.
As the lyrics of this blasphemous track pumped through the speakers, the crowd turned on Ray. He saw Greg Davies mouth 0 points to Alex Horn as they walked away.
Oh, crushing.
The kids in the hall went into a room and left the hall entirely. And Conan jumped on stage and took the mic from an embarrassed Ray. All right, well, I thought the competition would be a little stiffer, but it looks like it's settled. I'd like to announce my new co-host, the next Taskmaster contestant, and the newest kid in the hall, JoJo. JoJo came out and snatched the mic from Ray. 6'7", sweaty, and objectively offensive? Who are you, my wife? The crowd went nuts. Conan did the I'm not worthy bow to JoJo. The kids in hall came out and they did the crushing your head thing to Ray. It was mortifying, the absolute worst, the nadir of Ray's comedy career. This could not get any worse. Bring, bring, bring. A jarring alarm clock burst to life on the nightstand. Ray wakes up at 2:45 a.m. in a cold sweat. It was always hard to sleep the night before a cruise. He collected his belongings from the nightstand. Wallet, keys, gum, and a tiny gold compass. Ray looks at the camera. He opens his mouth to scream as we hard cut to black.
Yeah.
end.
There you go.
Woo! What'd you think?
What a weird choice.
Yep.
What a weird choice.
Yep.
We wanted to go with something that would
and
really horrify you.
You really weirded it, you know? It was a weird choice, and you stuck with it the
Sure
whole
did.
way. I appreciate how you stuck with it, you know?
My idea where Chuck was Finn's dad and I was Finn's mom doesn't seem so terrible now.
It's funny because it is something that I definitely. It's weird. I feel so removed from it. I don't feel embarrassment.
Yeah.
Because it's so. It's just such. I was a completely different person.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
hard, and I was just exactly that age that does that,
Right,
and,
right.
and
Sure.
gets into that shit.
Of
It
course.
is very funny. I think if anything, I'm more embarrassed that you guys were reading those together. You know what I mean? That's what I think embarrasses me more than doing it here, because the stuff is like I said, I'm not worried about it in terms of like bearing my soul in some weird way and telling a secret.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's all silly because I was that age, and
Yeah.
and it was super
It was
silly stuff.
It was the age where the stuff from the previous week felt like that was the
most
rest of
important
entire
thing.
life.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the most
Yeah, yeah,
important thing that
exactly,
could be.
exactly.
And everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because it made me examine, I'm like, did I do something like this? And I did. And mine was all on MySpace.
Mm.
And I believe that MySpace was bought and sold. So all that stuff is just
Yeah.
broken. You can't find it. You can't you can find evidence of an account.
I can't
and there's
even
just
believe you
nothing there.
found that.
I
Yeah,
know.
How did you find
I'll
it?
tell you
Well, do
how
you
we
want me
found
to
it.
say it on the podcast?
Yeah,
No.
afterwards, yeah.
But it's so interesting because, like I said, it's something that I did, I think, only that year. I don't
Right.
think it carried on
Yeah.
beyond that. And the interesting part is that it is from a time that was so. I haven't shied away from the truth on the podcast before of the fact that I was deeply unhappy before I
Yeah.
went to college.
Sure.
I was around people that I should not have been around, and just didn't see a future or
Right.
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then so I went to school and worked on that, and I was weird. I would go home the first semester. After the first semester, I went home, and for Christmas break or whatever, I was like, okay, what did I do that I wasn't happy with, about myself?
Right.
Yeah.
Let me try and change that. So one of those that you read about crossing the line or something,
Yeah.
making too many jokes.
Yep. Yeah.
It's because I became known as a funny guy.
Right.
Yep.
And then was making those jokes, and I made a joke. A friend's grandmother passed away over the weekend, and then I made a joke and about the grandmother to him.
Right.
Yeah.
And in my 20-year-old brain, it was I'm just making jokes. Everything's
Right.
up for jokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, no, I did cross the line, and I had to apologize to him and
Yep.
talk about it. But that was me literally learning in my child
Yes.
brain of
Yes.
oh, you can go too far.
Yeah.
Let me correct that. So it's just weird. It's very analytical. I think I'm just I'm not upset. So Brad, you didn't have to worry.
Okay.
I'm not upset. I'm just more put off, I think is what it is. I'm just kind of grossed out by the two of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I'm not
tracks.
upset with you. I'm ugh, I'm skeeved out by you.
I'll
you
say
know?
if Chuck had proposed this for a live show, I think I would have not let it happen, because it feels like such a weird risk to take with hey, we're bringing up these things you wrote 20 years
Oh,
ago.
sure. Yeah.
But I'm well, we're recording this.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's
we
fine.
can
It's
bleep
fine.
what we need to bleep. You
Yeah.
know, when we say that Craig DePina is a worthless pot. Just kidding.
Pot.
I was gonna say pile of.
Oh, pile. I think
Yeah.
it's a pot.
Sorry,
A pot
I
of
cut it off.
shit.
No, I
That's-
love the idea because I was like, oh man, I'm like, if we go in the straightforward direction, I'm like, I know what this is going to be. I'm like, but this is it's so funny to go in a different direction because we had come up with the different rooms, which was comedy fan from hell, gig from hell.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, if he's trapped in the cruise, that's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this makes perfect sense.
No, that's fine.
And all the math of it made so much sense. And I was like, what would he hate? That's not the comedy fan from hell. That's not the gig from hell. And that's not what else would be. And I was like,
Yeah,
too much
yeah.
attention on the cruise.
Yeah.
And then the captain. And stuff
No,
like
that's
that.
very
Man,
fun.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
the Carson, Conan, Corden wordplay.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's
that
great.
was dumb, but I was like,
No,
I think
that's
that's
good.
funny. I
That's
think that's
good.
funny.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
You know what sold it for me? The later someone saying, wasn't he on Corden karaoke?
Yep.
The callback to it is what sold it for me.
Oh, and just so we can put any wondering viewers or listeners, put them at ease, the song that was very embarrassing when I did the acoustic comedy duo with my
Yes.
friend Jello.
Yeah.
We played guitar. We sang songs.
Yeah.
They were comedy. The song genuinely was like our most popular one.
Yep.
It was requested.
I feel like somebody requested it within the past year. Like on Facebook, you're like, I'm doing a show in Maine, and they're like, Are
Yeah,
you going to
somebody
play
brought
that
it up.
song?
Somebody
Yeah.
brought it up.
Yep.
Yep.
So I saw the comment, and then I went back, and the comment was gone. So
Oh no, I didn't
No,
delete
no,
it. No. Yeah, and so people would request it. We played, because there was a bunch of radio at the school because like I have a degree in radio and
Yeah.
went there for it and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So their alternative rock radio station, it wasn't just like a college station; it was a real
Yeah.
station. So we played live. Oh my god, like 2 or 3 times there. They had like this big annual like acoustic showcase thing
Yeah.
where all
Oh,
these
wow.
bands would come and play, and so we did it multiple times. This was the song where it was like, well, you got to play that.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
and it was crazy. So the song was a love song
Yes.
about loving someone.
Which
And
we all
in
do.
a real star-crossed lovers kind of situation.
yeah.
And the title, I'm not going to get into lyrics. I'm not going to say any of that stuff.
Yep.
I would not play that song today.
Yep.
And the title of it was simply called Short Bus. And that's all you need to know.
We almost got it. We almost guessed the title.
Oh, ooh, what were you guessing?
Short Bus Girl.
Yep.
Short Bus Girl.
Yep.
We looked for Jello. We did a lot of research.
Yeah.
We tried
Yeah.
to figure it out, but
No, there's just a couple of compact discs under lock and key that have our songs. It is insane to think back then of like when we did travesty and training, and really it's crazy that people were like, we love that song.
Yeah.
And like people loved it. And I remember talking to a guy who ran a record label.
yeah.
He ran like a hardcore label, right? Like, hardcore music. And he was talking, he's like, it's crazy because you guys like have these like silly, filthy songs, but like the hooks are there. The hooks are there. And he's saying that about Short Bus.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
I
It's
will say,
ridiculous.
I don't know
Anyway.
how crazy it is. I mean, if we're talking about the years of 2003, 2004,
Yeah.
I think there was probably a decent amount of comedy that would fall into the same wheelhouse. I
Oh,
mean,
sure, yeah.
Stephen Lynch.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? That was
Yeah, yeah,
huge.
yeah.
I mean, I think that there's probably not a person who is in the work, like doing stuff in comedy in 2024, who's around our age, who was doing stuff then that isn't like, oh yeah, I wouldn't that.
No,
oh,
no,
boy.
of course.
You know what
Oh,
I mean?
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's the story of every performer.
Right.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
I guess I feel more embarrassment. I feel more embarrassment with that than you reading excerpts of this crazy like live
Right.
journal-y type thing.
Yeah,
Maybe because I'm a comic.
Yes.
And it is like,
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Like I think it would be like the most embarrassing would simply be like playing whatever 5-minute set that I had taped.
Oh,
you know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
Yeah,
I
of
wish
course.
we'd thought to look for that.
Your internet privileges are about to get revoked, Bradley.
You know what? I put some pretty severe restrictions on my own internet usage, so
Yeah.
I don't know how much room there is for
Yeah,
other
it's
people.
so weird that you request all like the parent blocking things, right, for yourself.
That's another
Someone
thing.
stop me.
I'll talk about that with you afterwards because I do have an anecdote about stuff like that, but it's not podcast.
I like
fodder.
the idea of you on the phone with customer service
Yeah.
and going, okay, I need you to turn it on and pick a password, but don't tell me the password.
Don't tell me.
Don't tell me what the
At
password.
3 a.m. they get a call. What's the password?
What's the password? What's the password? Oh, come on.
I need it.
Just give me a hint.
Let me jizz on your feet.
All right. I'm gonna guess. Is it? Let me just on your feet. 1. Let me just on your feet. 2.
Is it password?
So we really horrified you.
Yeah, no, it was. I guess, is there a haunted house experience where you could go to like some abandoned warehouse, pay $20, and then people just sort of like lightly skeeve you out? Because I think that's it. Where you walk out and it's like, what did you think?
I
Was
think-
it scary? You're like, I mean,
I think that's
didn't like
that's
it.
the experience. That's the experience people are in for when they come see Funbearable live.
That's hilarious.
no, I appreciate the creativity of it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I definitely was a little squirmy and uncomfortable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's just, it really does feel like, no, don't read that because I can't defend it.
Right.
Of course.
You know what I
And
mean?
also,
Because
like,
I was a dumb teenager.
you're talking about squirmy uncomfortable here.
Yeah.
But like we're talking about a story. Like I wasn't squirmy uncomfortable when you read mine.
No,
You
no,
know
I
what
know, I'm
mean,
just
it's in the
kidding.
story
Yeah.
that you
I was
read.
pretty. I was pretty squirmy and uncomfortable when you're like, "Oh, the hot dog has mustard on it," and I was like, "Whoa!"
I feel
Yeah.
like there was one thing. Oh, there was one thing I wanted to say about Brad's that I loved that Ray came up with. But anyway,
No, I did
Great
have a
stuff.
lot of fun writing those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this kind of stuff
and
is
yeah,
fun.
it was a good time, and this was a fun, creative.
oh, I love it. I love.
I'm excited. I want to see this fucking horrifying site because it's got it. I don't remember anything.
Right.
I don't
I'll
remember
send it
any
to
of
you.
it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Well,
oh
yeah.
my god, I was so in it. I was so that kid.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I think we all were so that
We
kid.
were also
though.
that
You know what I
kid.
mean?
Maybe you know what, this was like a haunted house, but more like a fun house.
Like
and I
a
went
mirror.
in, and it was all the fun house mirrors, and I saw
Oh.
reflections of myself, and I didn't like what I saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that the stuff I wrote then is gone. I printed some stuff out, but you know, the Wayback Machine through the Internet Archive, like I can find some of it, and it's not personal. It's where it's like, this is what true love is, blah blah blah, and it's you know, but it's presented as fiction, but it's awful.
Yeah. Listen. We all.
Stay off the internet,
I-
kids.
Yeah.
I legitimately have my diary from when I was 17.
Yep.
And well, hopefully that, you know.
A lot of the pages are stuck together in that.
Yeah.
A lot of.
Wait a
you
minute.
called it your.
Wait a minute. Is this new stick?
Yeah. Ooh. Oh my god.
These pages weren't stuck together yesterday.
It's reading it. Good stuff, guys.
No,
that
this
was
was a
really
lot of
fun.
fun.
Folks out there,
True haunts.
yeah.
True haunts. That's what I like.
Thank you all for hanging out at these haunted houses with us tonight. If you have,
that's true.
yeah.
No, it was a true haunt.
It was a true haunt.
I was haunted
exactly.
by the ghost of my former
that's
self.
the
Wow.
idea of it.
Oh well, now I just got it. It's got layers, folks.
Ghost of
It's
Harrington
got layers,
Pass.
folks.
The ghost of Harrington Pass.
Thank you to Chuck's cousin Christian and wife Melissa for letting us park our porks on their porch.
I think-
Sorry, in their dooryard. On their dooryard. How does
In.
is it in your?
In your dooryard.
I
in
think
your
we're
dooryard.
we're past
dooryard.
their curfew and they went to sleep. which
I
is
think
very
it's
nice.
absolutely, yes.
It's
Yes.
just the dooryard.
The dooryard.
Yeah, thank you for letting us
The
park our pork
dooryard.
in the dooryard.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to send us an email, funbearablepod@gmail.com, or find us through socials
Oh, there's
at
Oh,
the
Funbearable
last.
Pod.
Okay,
You know, I've already
this is
done
the last
3.
of the candy here. You kids. They're a little older too. They're teens now.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I
Because
noticed
it's
that.
late trick or treating.
Yeah.
And this person that's a weird. You know how they get slightly sexual
Yeah.
as the night goes on.
They
Yeah,
do.
this one's interesting. What's that? A trans horror writer, Stephen Queen. That's weird. That's weird.
I
It's
liked
just
it.
weird. Don't call the kids dumb.
Funbearable Pod is where you can find us on socials. We're always happy to hear from you, read from you, whatever. I'm out of it.
Read from you.
Yep.
Next year,
Maybe you guys could write your own ideas of haunted houses for us, especially Brad.
Nope. Please don't.
Next year, I heard that your cousin is getting a fire barrel for the porch. It's so cold.
We'll talk about it later, but I was thinking about getting space heaters, like putting us next to him.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Because
just a thought.
I will be honest with you, my co-hosts and to the viewer listener, I am like really cold. You know,
my feet are numb for real.
I have a hot neck wrap on. Thank you all so much for being with us.
What a Midwesterner.
For Ray Harrington and Chuck Staten, I'm Brad Rohr saying thank you so much. We're sorry for being Funbearable.
And we should say Happy Halloween.
And
Happy Halloween! I don't know. Which camera was I supposed to look at?
Okay,
I looked
so
at all
we'll
of them.
look at the middle.
All right, okay.
Because that's the wide shot.
Okay,
You
got
ready?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
And Happy Halloween!
Okay, all right. We got to get a rhythm first.
All right, okay.
So it's like Happy Halloween.
Oh,
So there's a
That's
pause
good
there.
kind of
Okay.
pause.
Happy
It's like on the offbeat.
Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do. Right.
All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Happy Halloween! Don't get into any Pocahontas stuff,
Okay,
kids.
so if we're gonna talk at
Pocahontas?
the end,
No.
we gotta decide what that's gonna be now.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to say something?
Hocus Pocus Hannes.
Is that something?
Shoot.
Oh, hold on. Another kid came. Chuck, what do they dress like?
Well, it's 3 witches,
Uh-huh.
but they seem to be in troublesome relationships with white settlers. They're Hocus Pocus Hannes.
Oh. That's good.
That's good.
You kids are creative. You kids are very creative.
Thinkers.
We peaked at Corn Dog.